CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
Just drag them down. You'll always be alone.
You're a disappointment. They were never your friends.
Why do you even try?
Why would anyone be friends with you?
You can't take the pressure. Everyone will always be alone.
Breathe in the wild. With the strength of the bear. The drive of the ram. The will of the boar. And the cold fury of the phoenix. The storm rages through me. Unshakable. Breathe out the spirits and fight.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
What is going on here?
That's much better. Well, I suppose better is a relative term. Let me see if I've got this right. You looked upon the infinite cosmos, summoned me into this, admittedly rather adorable form, just so I could teach you about dragons. After all, there's none more qualified to teach you about the Dragonlands than me. Very well then, my bold little protege. I accept. We begin with power. The Dragonlands don't just have magic. They are magic. And where does this magic come from, you might ask? From dragons, of course. Each one powerful, each one an asset, if you are in the right place at the right time. The treasure dragon may offer you gold or ancient artifacts should you meet them. Just don't be greedy. One per lucky mortal customer. You understand? Of course, treasure isn't all that awaits as you traverse the Dragonlands. Make your way to the Draconic Shrines, and you shall be blessed with wondrous effects in battle, which you will no doubt need. Take Pandora's Bench, for example, which transforms champions into, well, other champions. Or Sacrificial Pact, which allows you to exchange experience for health and... well, yes. Visiting a Draconic Shrine indeed augments your abilities. But these are Draconic augments, and thus are far more impressive than anything mere mortals could invent. And next time, raise your hand. Now then, where was I? Ah, yes. While some dragons roam the lands, others are tied directly to them. Astral, Ragewing, Whispers, Shimmer Scale, Jade, Mirage, Tempest. One dragon for each of the 7 major Dragonlands. Starting off strong, these rather imposing creatures can be convinced to fight on your behalf if you can afford their services. As I'm sure you can imagine, each dragon represents a powerful magic, so you would do well to commit their names to memory. Astral, there really is no place like home. I mean we, are as numerous as the stars in the sky. If the heavens align, you shall receive celestial favor in the form of an astral orb, increasing the chance that an astral unit falls into your shop. Better get wishing. I know. Fire and dragons. Such a cliché. But you're thinking too small and too slow. The dragons of Ragewing don't just feel the burn. They channel it, building their rage meters into a frenzy of fast-hitting power. Do you fear dragons that go bump in the night? Well, you should. After all, the Whispers will steal armor and magic resistance from their enemies. It's always those strong, silent types you have to watch out for. And who said all that glitters isn't gold, The magic of Shimmer Scale can make things downright blinding. What with unique items that scale with your gold. I don't look it, but I am practically green with envy. It is dangerous to go alone, so why not bring an army? That is the Jade strategy, after all. Jade statues protect even while asleep, but attack them, and they are bound to wake up. If that is not enough backup, these statues grow in power the more Jade units you possess. No, your eyes aren't deceiving you. Mirage is the most mercurial of the Dragonlands, taking shape only when called upon. The only certainty is that Mirage units will change their approach from battle to battle, allowing you to adapt and bring your victory into focus. Now, where have I seen him before? Our final stop on this tour of the Dragonlands is Tempest. For lesser creatures, lightning never strikes twice. But for Tempest, lightning is a constant current, damaging and stunning your opponents. Make them regret trying to weather your storms. So tell me, are you feeling educated, inspired? Because that is it. The lessons are over. What? Did you think I was going to tell you everything about the Dragonlands? Ha! Now, where would the fun be in that?
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. we're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
You just drag them down. You'll always be alone.
You're a disappointment. They were never your friends.
Why do you even try?
Why would anyone be friends with you?
You can't take the pressure. It's like everyone will always be alone.
Breathe in the wild. With the strength of the bear. The drive of the ram. The will of the boar. And the cold fury of the phoenix. The storm rages through me. Unshakable. Breathe out the spirits and fight.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
What is going on here?
That's much better. Well, I suppose better is a relative term. Let me see if I've got this right. You looked upon the infinite cosmos, summoned me into this, admittedly rather adorable form, just so I could teach you about dragons. After all, there's none more qualified to teach you about the Dragonlands than me. Very well then, my bold little protege, I accept. We begin with power. The Dragonlands don't just have magic. They are magic. And where does this magic come from, you might ask? From dragons, of course. Each one powerful, each one an asset, if you are in the right place at the right time. The treasure dragon may offer you gold or ancient artifacts should you meet them. Just don't be greedy. One per lucky mortal customer. You understand? Of course, treasure isn't all that awaits as you traverse the Dragonlands. Make your way to the Draconic Shrines, and you shall be blessed with wondrous effects in battle, which you will no doubt need. Take Pandora's Bench, for example, which transforms champions into, well, other champions. Or Sacrificial Pact, which allows you to exchange experience for health and... well, yes. Visiting a Draconic Shrine indeed augments your abilities. But these are Draconic augments, and thus are far more impressive than anything mere mortals could invent. And next time, raise your hand. Now then, where was I? Ah, yes. While some dragons roam the lands, others are tied directly to them. Astral, Ragewing, Whispers, Shimmer Scale, Jade, Mirage, Tempest. One dragon for each of the 7 major Dragonlands. Starting off strong, these rather imposing creatures can be convinced to fight on your behalf if you can afford their services. As I'm sure you can imagine, each dragon represents a powerful magic, so you would do well to commit their names to memory. Astral, there really is no place like home. I mean we, are as numerous as the stars in the sky. If the heavens align, you shall receive celestial favor in the form of an astral orb, increasing the chance that an astral unit falls into your shop. Better get wishing. I know, fire and dragons, such a cliche. But you're thinking too small and too slow. The dragons of Ragewing don't just feel the burn, they channel it, building their rage meters into a frenzy of fast-hitting power. Do you fear dragons that go bump in the night? Well, you should. After all, the Whispers will steal armor and magic resistance from their enemies. It's always those strong, silent types you have to watch out for. And who said all that glitters isn't gold, The magic of Shimmer Scale can make things downright blinding. What with unique items that scale with your gold? I don't look it, but I am practically green with envy. It is dangerous to go alone, so why not bring an army? That is the Jade strategy, after all. Jade statues protect even while asleep, but attack them, and they are bound to wake up. If that is not enough backup, these statues grow in power the more Jade units you possess. No, your eyes aren't deceiving you. Mirage is the most mercurial of the Dragonlands, taking shape only when called upon. The only certainty is that Mirage units will change their approach from battle to battle, allowing you to adapt and bring your victory into focus. Now, where have I seen him before? Our final stop on this tour of the Dragonlands is Tempest. For lesser creatures, lightning never strikes twice. But for Tempest, lightning is a constant current, damaging and stunning your opponents. Make them regret trying to weather your storms. So tell me, are you feeling educated, inspired? Because that is it. The lessons are over. What? Did you think I was going to tell you everything about the Dragonlands? Ha! Now, where would the fun be in that?
Girl, we do this every time. Come on over. Love you till the end of time.
备要在这一波将巅峰人全员收掉。
差了一个位置，又是第3个了！哎呀，
然后拿了一个搭手，开始持续的追击。现在的话，朴正上的 triple，
这一波手上换了一个治愈，多你一个治愈之后，这边点输了。
红魔的一个推，打在头上旁边，效果把小林给推了回去。
Hey everybody, welcome once again to the PCS Summer Split Playoffs. We are rocking and rolling in this first week, and tonight we start the matches in the lower bracket, and it'll be J-Team taking on MetaFalcon. We'll see who triumphs and moves on forward, but before we get there, I do got to shout out our sponsors, CTBC Bank, who are always by our side, but for this split, these playoffs, we are now joined by China Airlines, so we'll be flying high as well. I'm joined by Nightstar on Pyrotechnics. How you doing today, Frank?
Can't wait to dive into it. We saw our first two upper bracket matches were really exciting. The J Team one, of course, Beyond Gaming really coming out and surprising a lot of people. And then, of course, in the second match, well, let's not. All right, but
I know. I got to give you your moment, is all I'm saying.
The second match, Frankie Sports, while they did come short, it was a very entertaining set of games still against CFO, where they did go toe-to-toe to a certain degree. But ultimately, CFO coming out on top, looking very strong, moving in the second round of playoffs. So for the lower bracket, it's really about these lower bracket teams to step up and come up and challenge our higher seeded teams. As we get the bracket pulled up, you know, CFO coming out 3-1, maybe not surprising for people, but certainly the second one right below them, the J Team one, getting surprised 1-3 in the opposite direction, that was definitely surprising.
Yeah, that was definitely something that not a lot of people predicted. I do give you your moment on that one. However, the CFO game went a lot more as expected, especially with the return of Koala to the roster. So CFO taking on PSG Talon for a rematch of the finals and the upper bracket finals of Spring Split. But of course, for us today, it is all about the lower bracket kicking off. We are going to see if J-Team can start themselves back on their redemption arc, because that's the thing. And speaking of redemption, we all got some yesterday as we caught back up to you, Frank. But now as it's all tied up, we're all making the same bet here with J-Team over MFT.
Yeah, it's just really hard to predict either of our 7-8 teams against any of the top 6, just because of how dominant the top 6 have been, all with winning records. And then you look at our 7-8 teams, MFT, Impunity, we'll see tomorrow. They were really struggling to even get into those 7-8 spots.
Absolutely. I think it's worth noting that MFT really had a rough ride to finish out and only really beat the bottom teams to secure their 7th seed. For J-Team, they looked better and better going into the playoffs, but we started to see the jitters set in, and they didn't seem to adapt quite so well to patch 12.14 as at least I expected. I think we could have been looking to see more out of this squad. They were a little slow. They were a little thrown for a loop by Beyond Gaming and didn't challenge in the early game. I don't think they'll be as punished, even if they play like that, against the side of MFT. This really is a David and Goliath story, because MetaFalcon team, while most of our squads have looked improved over the course of the split, I kind of think it's been the opposite. This team, they seem to have lost a bit of their identity.
Yeah, this team definitely seems to have plateaued throughout just the entire year in general, where what we saw at the start of the split seemed, or what we saw at the start of the year seemed very similar to what we've seen since then. They have made, of course, a change in bringing Hongtu into the roster, and perhaps with his more meta-focused champion pool, that might change things just a bit for them. We'll see how it works out in these pick bans for the series, but I think the real champion flex is going to be in that bottom lane, where we've seen Whale bring out the Samira. Maybe if they somehow come out with a Samira or a Draven lane, get a few kills during the early game, that might provide that early game snowball that they can use to surprise a game or two against JT.
Yeah, as we saw in the series against Beyond, J-Team were acting and playing fairly slow, and if they don't get up to speed, there is a notable difference between Lil V when he's accelerated, Lil V when he's able to free hit from the backline, and Lil V that's struggling to farm up. So I like the idea of trying to attack the bot lane often and early. Perhaps it's a strategy that MFT have been cooking, and I think it certainly could work for them in this matchup to grab a game. Critical to both these teams' success will, of course, be the junglers. You have to compare Kongye just about every time to everybody, and 665, who was a standout performer last split, has certainly slumped quite a bit in the summer.
Yeah, and it feels like, for the most part, teams have figured out how MFT do want to play, and if you are able to attack and really take control of 665's jungle, that's where MFT's game plan stalls out heavily, because their laners aren't the strongest laners. That's why they ended up in the 7th spot. And if you remove the jungler and prevent him from influencing these lanes, then that just really accentuates the laning difference.
Have to find out what comes of these two teams' picks as we get in right now. Starting off, J-Team on the blue side with side selection. Take the Poppy off the board, as well as the Azir targeting out Hong2, and this is, of course, because of the two mid laners. He does play more of those meta choices, but MFT are going to continue to deny Lil V the Kalista, and they take away the Sylas from Uniboy.
So the big carry picks for Uniboy have been the Sylas Azir, and when you look at the champions afterwards, you're looking at things, you know, like an Ahri, which, while can be very influential in the game, does drop off the later the game does go on. So while I think Uniboy will most likely land onto the Ahri pick in this particular game, it is one of those picks that, if MFT are able to drag things out, it does offer them a possibility of being able to then turn the tables, or at least in the scaling regards.
I do like that MFT have opted to ban out a handful of AD carries against Lil V. J-Team have options. The Zeri has not worked out for anybody in the PCS. I know, it's still good. We see it in the LCK. It's a good champion. But for some reason, something is missing there. And J-Team are not going to opt for that this time around. They are going to go for the Lucian, look to pair it up with the Nami, and get their lane on.
For MFT, I really think that if you're going for a champion like the Lucian, maybe they go for some sort of cheese. Bring out the Draven, go early game, or perhaps if they want to go for more of a scaling option, there is, of course, the Aphelios direction, and MFT definitely one of those teams that are comfortable with the Aphelios pick. They do go ahead, lock in the Wukong, so once again, really emphasizing more of that mid-game team fight potential, along with a little bit of that early game skirmishing as well. And it looks like MFT are the ones that are going to look to deny away the Ahri. Oh, just kidding.
Last second, though, they do switch it away. I think they could have taken the Ahri on this rotation. It wouldn't have mattered since the AD carry's already shown. What do you make of that one, Nightstar?
I think they flash the Ahri pick, just try and get J-Team to go ahead, lock that in for Uniboy, and then they'll perhaps go ahead, counter pick it with either the LeBlanc or something maybe like the Vex. I think Vex could work out very, very well against a low range composition that J-Team already starting to look at with the Lucian pick, right? So, you know, most likely you're not going to get anything that long ranged unless if they do add something like a Xerath, which, let's be real, no one's picking Xerath right now.
Nah, I mean, maybe Nesty. Like, I think that's maybe the one play that I might opt for, but J-Team have given themselves a decent bit of pressure. Kongye back on the Vi. The Kench is looking to be unbenched here, so MFT looks like they're playing a little bit of a safer lane. They know they're against the Lucian Nami. They want to get Whale into a scaling matchup, so rather than attacking early, they're opting to have him as the late game hyper carry. And let's see what else they pair up with this, because that Wukong, as you clocked, is going to have a big impact in the early and mid game, and I'd like to see them be able to ramp up in team fights.
Yeah, I really don't like the Tahm Kench pick in this lane, just because you're just going to get bullied to high hell against the Lucian Nami. There really isn't an answer coming in from a Tom Kent. You don't have the ability to engage very well against a pick like Lucian. So unless MFT do send the Wukong bot lane early and often, I see this going very, very well for the side of J team, with the Lucian Nami just getting very, very far ahead.
Yeah, that could be trouble for MFT in this first game. They have had a little bit of extra time to prepare. They've seen J-Team. They've been able to study the tape. I want to see what this former collegiate squad can do and pair it up against J-Team. But it is a very big mismatch in terms of the way their records have shaked out. Worth remembering, MFT have not been able to beat any of the squads above them in the standings over the course of this split. They're a team that has a solid 0 win record against the top 6. But a perfect win record against the bottom 3. It is a night and day split.
Yeah. This is really just hitting everything as expected. And in a matchup where, you know, you get the wins where you need them and can't get them where against anyone above you, that makes it a tall task in this, again, as we highlighted, David versus Goliath matchup. Now, going into the second phase, we do see Orin Talia taken off by MFT, pretty strong team fight champions, and on the flip side, J-Team removing the Victor and the Sejuani. So the early game or mid-game pressure coming in from a Sejuani taken off the table, which means we're actually going to see a blind pick, Renekton, coming out from Taco. And an interesting thing coming out in this top lane is that both of these top laners do not get a lot of attention from their jungler. In fact, Taco, the only top laner that gets less jungle attention than Taco is Hanabi. So it just really highlights that maybe with this Renekton pick, they do opt to play more top half heavy than they would initially think.
Yeah, I do think with this Renekton, there's an opportunity for them to get aggressive early as well. And that's Swain getting locked in for Hong too, as they were prepared for the Ahri to come out. It's interesting, the Swain has been played by Wen, but this will be Hong 2's first go on the champion this split. And looking at the lineup here, J-Team have gotten themselves a solid early game bot strategy, but it definitely ramps up as they go further up the map. And it's the exact opposite if you look at MFT's side.
Yeah, very different points of scaling coming in from both ends. And I think, of course, this draft is going to favor J-Team a lot more because of the fact that they like to play bot side, and this draft really accentuates, hey, we're playing bot side. We have a strong bot lane to actually play around. We're going to look for those early dragons. And for MFT, they have a very strong team fight composition at first and second dragon. It's just a matter of, are they able to bring those pieces down to actually contribute? And how far behind will this Kench Aphelios lane be by the time we do hit to those first and second dragon points?
Yeah, I think we're going to need to see a lot of the 665 early. This Wukong is going to have to get involved very fast. And keeping in mind that he's up against Kongye, there's going to be a little bit of a timer. That Vi at level 6 is going to be able to do a lot and could potentially give that bottom lane an even harder time. Taking a look at our comps one more time here. Lucian Nami, definitely a worrying thing for MFT to face down. Make no mistake, they are not going to be the favorites, even if their composition was a bit more favored in pick ban. But in this case, J-Team have gotten a lot of what they wanted to play with, and I think it's going to be on MFT to strike early across the map, protect their Aphelios, and protect their Swain, get them to late game.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the very least, hey, it's a pretty low range composition coming in from J-Team, so the Renekton and the Swain will find massive value going towards the later portions of the game, and the Aphelios isn't too shabby when you are playing up against low range comps. He will be able to auto nonstop and get maximum value. Unfortunately, straight into a game pause, right?
Yeah, got that good old sepia screen. But hey, you know what? We get to talk a little bit more about the compositions, how they're going to work out, and maybe just about how J-Team are looking to bounce back, because they didn't just lose in their upper bracket round. I mean, that was still an upset, but they really had a hard time getting anything going, winning one game in the third, having to get back into it. You have to think that's going to be affecting your mental, even going up against a decidedly weaker opponent. So how do you think they're approaching this game one, Nightstar?
To me, with J-Team this performance or in this series, they have to come out in a really strong manner and really just sweep MFT out of here, no questions asked. If we come in not factoring in their last series, you look at this matchup and say, all right, it's 3-0, probably don't even get a plus 28-minute game in there. All of these games should just be done and dusted. And J-Team historically have been a team that when they play against lower tier opponents, they will just ground pound you into the dirt and sweep you away like nobody's business. It's really against the more competitive teams that they do struggle to end games quickly. So I'm expecting to see a J-Team really come out and dominate from start to finish, no questions asked.
Yeah, MFT are going to, be aware of that. They're going to have to realize that they need to do something that they haven't been able to accomplish all split long, not just beating a team that's been above them in the standings, but be able to play aggressive against a squad like J-Team that has been able to control teams that don't have as good of individual play or even macro play. I think a lot is going to rest on the shoulders of Taco, because that Renekton does have a lot of impact early, even if he doesn't get jungle attention. And Taco was a standout performer on Meta Falcon team in the spring split. Taco was an incredible player, and we saw really good game-winning fights out of him. Great flanks. I remember his Akali play was top tier, and he was able to pull off all of these carries really before the top lane was known in the PCS for being quite as hyper-aggressive as it has been, the pre-YSKM days, you could say. So that's the thing for me, is like, can Taco recapture a little bit of his spring split spirit, or will he just get rolled over? I mean, the Gwen can still play a little safe. It's not as dangerous pre-6, but you got to think Kongye is going to be making some tracks up there as well, especially if bot lane is already winning handily in the 2v2.
Yeah, and so Taco, definitely a really interesting player to take a look at in this series because of his diversity in champion pool. He has pulled out the KO of this split, almost got the win on it as well against the side of I believe it was PSG, where he almost pulled it over their line for this squad. And he's also brought out things like the Mordekaiser, like the Aatrox, so picks that could succeed very well, given how J-Team just don't really focus around top half. And it does look like it's, I would assume, looking like a issue with Roxen, as he's got the most people checking out his area.
The sleuth. Yeah, no, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that would be the reason. So hopefully we'll get word back that we'll be getting into game shortly. So thank you for bearing with us in the meantime. But more to your point on Taco too, patch 12.14 really did a lot of a shakeup on some of the more favored top lane champions in the PCS, the Gnar and the Gangplank. I know it hits Hanabi's pool especially hard. Rock, I think, is one of those players that could have suffered for it because he's played a number of these champions. And he didn't look that great in the Beyond Gaming match, I gotta say. He didn't play the first game. That was Driver, wiped that one off the board. Taco, I don't think, is a player that will be affected at all by those nerfs, because while he's played the Gnar, that's kind of just like, that's like Lee Sin for jungling. You just have to be able to do it at some point. But he's been much more favoring a lot of these fighter champions. The Gwen, the Jax has been a big one for him. So I do think he should feel pretty comfortable despite the changes. Some of the champion pool being drained just a little bit. And this Renekton, I'm curious to see what he can do on it. Again, it's all about recapturing his spring split performance, because that dude had some pop-off games that we just didn't really get to see from him that much in the summer.
Yeah, and one of the big difference in his, quirky picks, and in particular this game where he is picking the Renekton, is a lot of those other picks are a lot about the scaling factor, where at a certain point in the game, this champion will just take over the map. Things like the Kale, things like the Jax. If you just let them exist on their own, they will get to a point where they are too big to deal with. Unfortunately, that's not the same in this particular game. This Renekton will need to get a lead to be able to then snowball it. But thankfully for him is the fact that, the side of J-Team, they don't necessarily focus a lot of attention top lane. Rock most likely will get left on an island. It will be nice to see Kongya try and make a move up top lane, but I think if there is a move that's going to be going top lane, it'll be off the back of killing Hong 2 in the mid lane, you know, get that early 2v2 kill, level 6 on Vi, go in with the cease and desist into the charm, lands the easy kill, and then they kind of 3-man gank top lane.
That is something you can do on the Ahri as well. And Kongya Uniboy combination was very touted when this duo joined the roster. I think we didn't get to see that much of it in the upper bracket matchup just because they were a very slow starting team. You got to think J-Team at this point would have been able to download not just the changes in the meta thanks to the patch, but what they did wrong in the series against Beyond. I very much expect them to bounce back up. And I say this as somebody that had predicted them to win the whole thing, fully admitting my J-Team biases here on stream for everybody. But I think this team has always struggled sometimes in the playoffs because they just are a slow team. They build up their momentum over time, but if they start off on the back foot, I think they take a while to recover. So if they control this game, I think the second game will much look the same. The third game will much look the same. It's going to be all on MFT to try and get an answer, to try and show up early. And speaking of answers, we are still watching Rock and the technician search for what's going on his screen. So I don't know. Maybe Rock is asking, hey, what happened to the numbers of my champions, guys? Like, Riot, why did you nerf my Gangplank? Come on. But it looks like he's ready to go.
Looks like Lil V was the solution. Walked on over and immediately knew.
Yeah.
And
he's a man of many talents.
Yeah, when you've been around the game for such a long time, I'm sure you figured out some of the strange happenings that can happen in the League client.
Yes, I know you have been talking to me at length about the League clients and many opinions on that, but we don't need to talk about that because we're in game, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us through all of that, but we are finally on the rift for game number 1 of this best of 5 do or die series. Remember, the winner moves forward in the lower bracket. The loser doesn't move forward at all. They head home. Their playoff run will be done.
Nothing too surprising when it comes to the rune choices here. The only thing is the fact that Whale is sitting on the press to attack. So he's looking to be a little bit more aggressive in his trading style. But again, when you have Tahm Kench against a enchanter like Nami, it is very difficult to just find good trades for you. And it's going to involve 665 coming down early to really influence or swing the state of that lane.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very important. But we will not get any shenanigans to start right now. The leash does happen on red side for MFT, and Kongye soloing out on the blue, but no vision gained by either side in this one. We've been getting used to seeing both teams tracking junglers very effectively. Not the case in this game.
And we're actually seeing Kongye start out bot lane or top lane by himself, which means he will finish in that bottom side. And already early trading going through. Enzo, he's been, one of our highlight support players in our league. Really, really good on these more enchanter focused champions, and a lot of trading actually happening in this bottom lane.
Yeah, he does get poked a little bit. You have to keep in mind that the Nami sustain's still there. Not as much off the pots as it used to be. So this is a bit of a dangerous duo to play. But Lil V and Enzo, very confident, and for good reason, too. You mentioned Enzo being a solid support player, particularly on these enchanters, and he has been rocking them, especially that Renata Glasp. All of this for a player that role swapped a few splits ago.
And I think that was sort of the issue that they ended up facing in the previous series, where they ended up having Enzo play more of these engaged supports. But if you play engaged supports into a player like Kino, who's known for his engaged supports, that's when you sort of trade down. So I like the fact that they are coming back to the Enchanter a look as 665, as we sort of expected, looking to play more top heavy, throwing it out. The vision is actually going to get a decent chunk of knowledge for them, knowing that, hey, Kongya is going to be towards this bottom half of the map.
Ooh, nice flash from Hong, too, as soon as Uniboy does. Almost no delay there, but now it's 665. Paying a visit to the top side, and Rock could be under fire. He burns Ignite immediately, does not have that flash, and in the Gwen Misty goes, but Taco slices, dices, the tower takes him down anyways. They did not juggle the aggro on that at all.
Not that clean of a dive. However, they still hold on to the flash on Taco. They will be able to play around that. And also the, okay, maybe a return
Kongye's
gank
back.
from the mid lane.
So 665,
2v2.
okay, there's that Vision of Empire. Does eat the charm, though, right into the Kongye fists. But they're trading out on both sides. 665 wants to get something for this in a 1v1 trade. He does. Burns flash. Kongye on
Level
the chase
difference.
with the level advantage, but now it evens out. And he's blast coning out. So far, we've got a pair of trades on the map, and 665 involved in both of them.
This is actually really, really good for the side of MFT. This is the game script that they do need to see in order for them to gain advantages. Just continue to have these more scrappy oriented game scripts where 665 can get more involved and trying to get a couple of these kills for himself. Now on to 2 kills. He is extremely strong. And over in this top side, like, the wave's coming back towards Taco. Yes, they trade 1-for-1, but because Rock gets denied a decent chunk of minions and the wave does bounce back towards Taco, as we get to see the replay, it's just Engage coming in for Kongye onto Hongtu. They know they have more than enough damage to burst them out. I feel like 665 waited a little bit too long to come in, but regardless, they trade 1-for-1 in that instance. And maybe we get to see a return visit from 665 already, just establishing much more top-heavy focus, which is what we haven't seen from him all split long, and that's very welcome sight to see in this game number 1.
MFT have definitely refined their game plan coming into this series, and it is good to see because it means we might be in for a closer one than as to be expected before. Really encouraging to see 665 getting in on the action early. Yes, they could be a little cleaner about it. I think a few more kinks to work out, but for the time being, it's good. J-Team sensing that this is possibly going to be a lot more pressure topside, opt to get a little more vision. Rock has been better about placing those wards down early, but down bot continues to be a problem. You can see a big CS lead building for Lil V as they start to push in on the tower, finding plate gold, and MFT are going to have to do something about that.
Oh, possible collapse onto Taco.
Yeah, he's in trouble. He slices, and he dices. He's fine.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pins are not quite there coming in from both of these solo laners, and
look at this long flank.
this is a great angle for a gank if they can get onto him.
Waiting for it. Waiting for it. Still only level 4, and they know something's up right now, and here he goes. Only gets bop onto Enzo's head, unfortunately. Having the Cyclone would have made a big difference there, but all this time in lane means that he hasn't been able to farm quite as effectively, so he's level behind Kongye.
And look at the response. It's going to be 3 people going straight towards that top lane.
Oh boy.
Taco is not level 6 as well. He needs to hit
no
level 6 off
Dominus.
this wave if he can.
Oh, he's got the flash.
Oh,
he does
level
get 6. Immediately goes into the Dominus, starts slicing, starts dicing, but this team, J-Team, are primed to turn him into a pair of boots, and they do. That's going to be the kill
Hongtu
picked
is
up by
here.
Rock on the Ignite tick, and Hongtu comes in for the defense, try and push them off. They will be able to secure a plate nonetheless. 665 starts up on this Dragon, though, and this is a Hex tech. Big value out of this one, at least.
This is actually massive here for MFT. Even though that they lose the kill up in the top lane, they don't lose a ton of farm. They also are able to get farm back onto Taco because he goes ahead, teleports into that mid lane, gets that EXP, doesn't miss out on much, and MFT actually get the first dragon. So when you are playing that Lucian Nami composition, you expect to be able to stack dragons early, and when you lose that first one, it could be impactful as we move on later into the game.
Absolutely. That was a really good find by MFT despite losing Taco, and we don't often talk about the flip side of having a lot of people move up on the map to get a dive, is if the team on the opposite side of the map realizes there's an objective to take away, they can do it. J-Team are not particularly good at securing the first dragon. They're actually one of the worst teams in the league at doing it, and this is what I talk about when I say they're slow. They kind of just roll through a little bit, and well, Lil V and Enzo were trying to bait out a 3v2 with Kongye, but well, an issue realized something's up. They back away.
Yeah, Kongye shows, and they just go ahead, walk it off. Whale, level 6, has Calibrum, so he can go ahead stop these backs as well. So all things considered, this is a great early game coming in from MFT. Even though they are down 500 gold, they've kind of hashed out the win conditions that we wanted them to try and tick here with this comp and be able to try and fight around top half of the map. And also this bottom lane hasn't been all that punished, even though they are running the Tahm Kench. And that is going to be problematic.
Certainly will be. Those junglers sniffing around the mid lane at the moment. Hong 2 dings over to 6 to match Uniboy. I do think a problem for MFT is going to be Rock, as he's 2 kills up on the Gwen already. Opts for the early boot finish. And Kongye with the Vault Breaker just to threaten, walk away from it. Now with him showing, 665 cannot freely take away this objective. Skull, or the not the Skull Crab, the Rift Herald. Much bigger crab. What's 665 doing here? Does he want a 1v1? I think he wants a 1v1.
I think he's really hoping Kongye makes his way over to this Gromp. Try and pick him off there. Okay, he's going to be spotted. 665.
Info
He's in trouble now.
given. Now Uniboy going over the cease and desist. He waited forever only to get taken down. That was a misfire. It's going to result in a Herald play.
Just really... This is sort of the give and take of 665, right? Where he gets super aggressive, and sometimes when he gets that lead, he wants to push it a little bit too far without the help of his laners. And with the wave state up top side, he was never going to have that Renekton there to back him up. And now they do give up a pretty big objective in this Rift Herald. The extra 200 local gold is going to help out Rock considerably in getting back into the lane. And Gwen is one of those champions against this Renekton. Once you hit 2 items, the Renekton is going to drop off considerably, whereas on the flip side, Rock is going to do so much work in these team fights.
Yeah, and Taco could be in even more trouble right now if Kongye comes in. Doesn't have the cease and desist up and available, but they could just drop the Herald and try to push out some more plates. Instead, they want to make a bigger play out of it. That's the back way. Kongye goes home and picks himself up a Chempunk Chainsword. Be able to dish some more damage out now. We're starting to see the buys coming in. Players spending out on their gold a little bit. I can't believe it. I don't think Lilvi is backed until... No, I think this was his first back. He just goes from Longsword to Gale Force. You don't see
really
that every
big
game.
purchase. So, I mean, that's definitely a big purchase here for him. The big issue is, of course, he only has the Gale Force. So if the Wukong
issues
is
on
able
the
to
other
get
team,
onto him,
Nightstar.
That's true. MFT, if they can get onto Lil V, he's got no escapes, right? So that it's going to be very reliant on him being able to utilize his Gale Force and his dash to get out of any sticky situation. But as a Lucian, you want to play aggressive. You want to dash forward rather than backwards.
That's true. And also, Lilvi's job is going to be a bit different in this game, right? Normally, he's a bit of their late game insurance. And right now, he's kind of going to be all about the mid game and trying to be just pumping Collings into MFT's face. Kongye here to clear the ward, looking for the 4-man, but they don't find it before they're sniffed out on that ward. Scuttle Crab secured. This is going to be a dragon setup, though. Cloud's going to spawn in about 15 seconds, a little bit later than J-Team would have liked, so they're not going to stick around for it. Just investing some vision. And MFT, they would love to pick up another one and slow down J-Team's game plan even further.
I honestly don't think that MFT are going to care too much about giving this one up, because it does mean that we are going to have a combat stat soul. So you're going to get so much extra value from these later dragons, knowing that this one is a Cloud Dragon. It's not going to be Cloud Soul where you're not getting a ton of battle stats. This is really important for J-Team to actually get a dragon on the board, but for MFT, you know, this is an opportunity to possibly fight. However, Taco doesn't have his teleport up, and it's not
Almost
unleashed.
there.
So he's going to be a big factor for their, you know, one big team fight. So I think they want to wait for those tools to be available before they actually go for something.
Yeah, Shelly's going to be popped, though, so Lilvi and Enzo are going to try and push this one at 665 there. Coling already channeled. Issue going to eat most of it up. And there will be the charge. Should just be plates, and that's it. They get the smite off immediately. Nicely done on that. And what they were hoping to buy some time with to maybe get this dragon isn't going to result in anything. Kongye is going to proc it nonetheless. And as you predicted, MFT are happy to give this away.
Yeah, they do have the Imperial Mandate completed on to the Swain, and he's really strong at that point, but I'm sure they would love to get that second item on top of that, along with being able to get Taco into this fight. And just in regards to the fact that, hey, you know, Lil V, he's got the Gale Force, so we don't have our Mythic completed onto our AD carry, so it's definitely not a great fight timing for us. So I like that coming in, MFT, but it does mean that really a lot of this is going to boil down to the next dragon.
Yes, it will, and it is going to be an Infernal Soul. So, booyah! We got those big old battle stats to fight for this time around. Dragon split a piece, 14-minute mark, gold lead, though in favor of J-Team off the back of some plates that they were able to secure there as they drop. 640 gold in total. Thanks, Shelly, for a couple, but as you said, this is not the worst start to the game for Meta Falcon team. They wanted to get aggressive, they wanted to make some plays, but more importantly, they wanted to play safe on bottom, and they have done exactly that.
Yeah, they've really ticked all the boxes. Again, they're only 1,300 gold behind. And that is slightly concerning because, again, when we talk about J-Team, they curb stomp bottom team. And right now, okay, at least a great burst of damage. Unfortunately, Whale has the Severum, so he's going to be able to heal up. No questions asked.
Yeah, this is J-Team continuing to play it out a little slowly. They've been the more reactive team. They looked to set up that 4-man dive, didn't result in anything. Vault Breaker channeling Kongye just moves it back, and now you can see MFT starting to get in position. They are going to get on top of 665. He eats the charm. However, there's a lot more members of MFT there, and J-Team have to back away. Lil V wasn't even in position for the fight. Here comes the 4v4, though. Lil V gets licked. 665 goes in, gets immediately exhausted, swallowed up, though, by Issue to keep him alive. As Lil V taking so much damage now. Pulled back by the never move. Kongye takes a lot of damage. As Whale flashes forward. That's the heal from Enzo. So many chakrams, but they can't quite get any kills on the board.
J-Team fans, they're on a trip. They're on a trip because that was not the best looking fight coming in from J-Team. They overextend themselves, thought that they had the pick onto 665, but then the turn comes in, and already MFT, they are looking like a completely different team coming into this first playoff game. Or maybe it's just the fact that J-Team, we expected so much more, and they still haven't delivered on it.
Oh my gosh. Nice start. MFT win this game. I'm going to have to yeet my bracket into the sun. This is looking like a very, very slow game for them as they try to force a fight, and MFT just slip away. Issue with a fantastic swallow. Gets 665 out of harm's way. He looked like a dead man there after he was exhausted in the midst of Cyclone. But J-Team do have an opening for another Rift Herald. They'll be able to secure this one up. Last time, it only resulted in plate gold. I would love to see them set up a good dive and turn this into multiple objectives, because as you said, they have been able to traditionally just smash teams lower in the bracket. But right now, it's looking like a much more even game.
Yeah. For J-Team, it's been kind of a measure of, like, are you a good team? If you are, you won't get smashed by J-Team. If you aren't, you'll probably get curb stomped.
Well, that's the problem then. It looks like maybe MFT are a good team. Currently, starting to look like it. However, Hong 2 does eat that charm, immediately turns on the Demonic Deception. And here is 665 going in, gets ceased and desist, but is it maybe J-Team that will be ceasing? No, they come right back in. Beauty Boy getting baited as Taco takes him down with the Cold of Meek in on that Dominus. Taco on the chase was not able to find any more kills, but Lil V... Hold on. Wait, he's out of there. Oh. Okay. Issue was looking to cut him off the pass. Still, though, one kill unanswered by MFT.
Maybe Issue was just winning that 1v1 against Lil V. I'm not sure because those health bars very, very different in there. And yet another engage that J-Team, they look to try and force pick, and they get turned on. So now you're looking at an Ahri Lucian combination that only have one kill between the two. You're going to lose. It's slowly but surely as the game moves forward. These two big carries or carry players are going to lose damage later in the game. As you get to see the replay, they jump onto Home 2. Looks great at the start, But then that last dash forward, the early stopwatch onto Home 2 pays off dividends, and Taco appears just in time to secure the kill.
Yeah, nicely played by Taco. And at this point for J-Team, you're going to start wanting Rock to pull a lot of extra weight. That's not typically what they've gone towards, but the 2 early kills means that the Gwen will be able to be a terror on the side lanes. You need everybody else to start moving up. And this Dragon being looked at by Meta Falcon team, they're in position. Gwen TP on. They're going to pull this one as far to the pit as they dare. Issue body blocking. That resets. They might be in for a good old flip.
This is the most important fight because this is where Taco is strongest. And Home 2, he is exceptionally strong too at this point.
Great never move. It's going to turn into even more here. 665 finds Enzo.
Numbers advantage.
Slaps him down. That's going to be the start on this Dragon as he dashes over the wall. Flash about to come back up for him. Doesn't have it just yet, and that's going to be the start. J-Team look to contest. Taco eats the charm into the orb, but he's a big tanky boy. And J-Team know they can't fight this. They give it away. MFT with a Dragon advantage.
Oh my lord, we're in for a trip, Pyra, because MFT, they come out with the kill advantage and they get the Dragon. So now it's 2 combat Dragons against just move speed on the side of J-Team. So this is massive implications going into that next Dragon, because usually you say, hey, you know, Renekton, he's going to start falling off. But we also have a Vi, Ahri, Lucian, very high single target DPS champions. But when it comes to a straight up 5v5, they're going to lose a lot of impact. So we need to see things happen before the team fight actually happens. They have to really force a pick here somewhere on the map, because as things stand out, they're even going into sort of utility builds already, right? Uniboy, he's completed the Morello Namicon. Yes, there's a lot of healing, but that's not the highest second item damage spike for a champion like Ahri.
Yeah, J-Team aren't going to have enough damage to do much in the straight-up 5v5, and you see MFT are kind of playing for the long game. That Bloodthirster completed out by Whale as his second item, and it is a 2-item build for Hong 2 as well, with the Rylai's now complete. And MFT, they're just sticking as the 4-man core, and Taco going to be a pressure on the side lane. Rock has not really been able to match as much in a straight-up 1v1 just yet. And you got to be careful. You have to respect that Swain damage. Hong 2 has been playing very well this game. Despite being focused down, targeted a couple times in the lane, he's held his own against Uniboy, and I think that really says it all.
Pyra, maybe I should have just picked all of the lower seeds.
Should you? Perhaps. You would have been looking like a genius right about now. I don't know how it's going to go as this game goes on. Rock gets Taco in the 2v1, but immediately MFT turn their sights onto the Baron. Let's see if they can get this one in time, as the Vision of Empire is trying to keep the rest of J-Team away. The wave comes through, gets the knock up. Here's Uniboy around the side.
Good lockdown.
They don't find enough damage, though. That's going to be the swallow up by Thomas Kench of Whale. It does force the reset of Baron Nashor, and they will get out of there. It doesn't quite fully reset, but J-Team aren't in position to fully take it. Lil V eats a ton of damage from the big Baron.
Great pick coming in from J-Team, and I like the response coming in from MFT, threatening the Baron, but unfortunately at 21 minutes into the game, they just don't have enough damage to take it down quite yet. It is, of course, the Mandate Swain, which is really, really strong in these team fights. Not the greatest damage for objectives, though. So if you wanted to rush an early Baron in that situation, you would have loved to have Leandries in that case, but that's not what MFT are going for. They're still, you know, it's 2k down. But again, this bottom half of the map is going to scale incredibly well. There's Issue taking a bunch of damage, but the damage is being returned.
My goodness. Issue is not the target you are looking to delete as well. Lil V does have a pretty low cooldown on that culling, but still, you want to find the pick, you want to find the deletion. They had some good early plays, a lot of them reactive, but they need to do more. Rock does get his second item, gets the Void Staff complete, so that side lane should start to become a threat, and Konge is mobile enough to get in position and assist him. So maybe the strategy is to just keep ganking the teleport and not letting them get into the position fast enough. But Taco, game senses are tingling. Maybe he's going to go for the 2v2 himself. 665's at his back.
Everyone's making their way over as well. It's 4-man bot side.
It's like a long game of chicken there. Nobody bites.
No catfishing there. And things kind of return to neutral. Buying more and more time for MFT's comp to slowly come online. Once Whale hits that third item, that's where things are really going to flip on its head. So they just need to funnel all their resources into the Aphelios. Once he gets that IE, this game almost feels like it's a wrap, because against IE Aphelios with the Tom Kench, it feels so difficult to actually find the angle to get a pick onto this champion.
Konga gets licked, has to take the Vault Breaker back. Now, win or lose this game, you got to be feeling good as Meta Falcon team. You were not favored coming into today. All of us, casters on the English broadcast, gave them no shot at all, and right now they are showing up very well. Number 7 seed, J-Team, looking to be upset once again. Oh, that's the Poland, and Elward! Enzo just gets deleted. That Nami, not a whole lot of sustain when you can't press your buttons.
Catfished and filleted is that Nami, and now they're going to have man advantage with Dragon now live.
Charm does land onto Whale, swallowed up by the Tom Kench. Meanwhile, they're going to start this fight off, and the Colin comes out from Lil V, but Hong 2 is absorbing a lot of it, and they have a lot of damage, looking to protect Whale as much as they can. You can see their body blocking, stopping Kong. Yeah, he stays in this one, and they even flash forward. Hong 2 looking for more, doesn't quite take Uniboy out, but with the jungler dead, that's going to be another Dragon, and you know what that means, Night Star. It's Soul Point, baby.
Oh my lord, MFT. They find the answers. They're now, yes, they're still down in gold, but the gold doesn't really matter at this point because they have the scaling advantage, and they also have 3 combat stat dragons. So you have to factor that into the calculations as well. And at this point, Uniboy, I mean, it's kind of laughing things off. But this is no laughing matter for J-Team fans, because their team is on the brink of being down 1-0 to the 7th seed.
Yeah, J-Team are not looking good right now. They have not been able to find much in the last couple minutes, and yes, they have the gold lead, but as you pointed out, doesn't mean much at this stage of the game. And when you look at the Dragon difference, that is making all of it right now. Keeping your eye on Whale's item build too. He's very close to that 3-item spike. So, yeah, things are it's a bad time to be a J-Team fan at the moment.
And Rock, he really needs that next item. Once he hits 3 items, then perhaps you're able to kind of one-shot Whale in the backline, even with the shielding coming in from Issue. I'm surprised he didn't go for the second item. Okay, this is a possible pick. This should be a
they
kill.
find Whale. That's big. They needed it. Not shutdown gold, but still very important. Opens up an opportunity to maybe push on this tower. They do run out of minions for now, but with Rock and Kongye leading them into the base turrets, that's an opportunity. Just got to dodge the Hong 2 damage. That big Eye of Sauron hurts a lot more than it should, as they will be able to secure an inner off that. Gold swing now in favor of J-Team.
Still, map going to be mostly dominated by the side of J-Team, even now. A lot of control on their end. They're the ones really pushing all the lanes in. That should be expected with how much catch potential they do have. And for MFT, it's about playing more of that ball-up style. Play super defensive. And Whale ends up playing in a moment where he's just by himself. That's where J-Team can pounce, and they take full advantage of that moment of isolation, get the pick onto him, and it's, you know, it doesn't kill the game for MFT necessarily, but it's nice gold going back into the pockets of J-Team.
Right now, J-Team give themselves not just a gold lead, but the tempo advantage too, and they didn't have vision on the Baron, but around the pit, they could see a couple members of the Meta Falcon team moving in there, and you know, a little uncertainty. Always have to respect that possibility. They did try to rush it down a lot earlier. J-Team will be able to go and clear away. But yeah, we are seeing J-Team continue to be a little bit slow in their game plans. Their opportunistic plays have panned out, though, in that particular instance. Like to see it. Rock is going to be a bit of a side lane terror right now. He's 3 items completed. But I'm looking at this damage across the board, and like in these team fights, it's not going to go great the longer it goes on. They need to get quick picks. They need Whale and Hong 2 out of there fast.
And I really want to see J-Team make an aggressive move towards the Baron buff. Although finding a pick onto Taka would be really good, but if you're looking at trying to create space to then secure the dragon, it really comes down to targeting the Baron buff early on before MFT can set up vision and pull them away from that dragon area. Unfortunately, I feel like the timers tick down a little bit too much here, that MFT, they're in a very comfortable spot. Once it gets down to that 1 minute area, then you know all the attention is going to be onto dragon. They can't possibly start Baron without facing the repercussions of just trading Soul. And at this point in the game, Soul or Inferno Soul just does so much damage.
Yeah, there's a lot more for MFT right now, so they have more options. That in their base is still holding, right? Without being able to at least open up an inhibitor, I think J-Team just haven't created enough side lane pressure, and kudos to MFT for keeping their side lanes from collapsing. Despite getting Whale caught a little earlier on, it's still working out well for them. But 40 seconds till that dragon spawn. MFT, they have a lot of choices that they can make. And it is J-Team that must force the issue here.
Yeah, they need to look an aggressive angle, get some culling damage down. This could be one of those possibilities. As Whale, now he has the Infinity Edge completed, channeling that recall. So he should have that done and dusted for this next fight.
There it is.
And it's just in time, right? 7 seconds for this dragon. They're going to try and do it off a spawn. But I think for MFC, you're okay with letting this one go because you can turn your attention for really anything else. You can look for the fight. You can look for Baron as well because you have a 3-item Philios at this point. You're really, really strong.
I think they're going to go for the Baron, or at least set up for a feint on it as Rock stays to finish the job. With that Scryer's Bloom, J-Team realized, okay, they're just trying to bait us out, so J-Team wins big.
Indecision comes out for MFT. They feel like they weren't quite set up to attempt to contest the dragon. Charm lands.
Charm! That's massive, but Whale does get swallowed up by Issue, so he'll stay alive for a little while. And meanwhile, with that expended, let's see
now
if
they
the
can
fight
dive.
Goes the way of J-Team looking for that dive play, but Hong 2 staying healthy. 665 being chased away on the side. Uni Boy finds some damage, not quite enough with the Orb of Deception, finish the job. They do not get the picks, but they do push MFT back.
And Whale there just walks way too far up, gets hit by the charm, and it forces out the ultimate coming in from Issue. Yes, you're a Tahm Kench. You're going to be able to keep your Philio safe. No doubt about it. You just can't burn that cooldown so early on in the fight because you imagine if they still had that ultimate, then they can play that fight much more aggressively. And now they might get just turned on as Issue was forced to flash because he knows the ultimate of Vi is still up and available.
Yeah, that's rough. MFT, you know, I think the bot laner on their side might be wishing his name was Minnow because his hitbox is just a little bit too big. Right now, Whale is needing to get a bit better positioning in these fights if they do not want to get pushed back. So J-Team have done a fair bit to get themselves a buffer into this late game, but now the teleport is coming in. MFT may force themselves into this, yeah, it was actually just a back teleport by Hong 2 spent there. It seems like they're kind of getting antsy on the map right now, Nightstar.
Seem a little bit lost in trying to make a decision, but flank coming in. Kongria
Go, Lil B moves forward, finds that culling, and they will get the swallow up, but the charm does land on Tahm Kench. Meanwhile, from the backside, look at Rock doing all the work right now as he goes huge in this one. Whale finally falls down thanks to the efforts of Uniboy, but the kill credit goes the way of Rock, and they will be able to finish this fight up. Even with Hong 2 looking massive, the demonic ascension is on. Rock is still standing tall, or is he? He finally falls down. His health bars are a little bit low. That's a double kill coming in for Uniboy. However, the Swain looking big. Can Hong 2 get even more off the back of it? The answer is no, and Uniboy picks himself up a triple to clean the fight.
And this just has to be the base just taken apart here by the side of J-Team, but unfortunately the waves aren't quite set up that they're able to really just shatter this game open. MFT will still have an opportunity to make a statement in this game. What for the side of J-Team, a much needed team fight victory as Uniboy goes absolutely nuclear in this fight, along with Rock being able to delete the backline. This is the angle that they need to approach when it comes to these fights. They need to come in from multiple angles with the Vi, with this Gwen pick, because now Gwen just able to shred through Whale. And
this was
Whale, once again, comes under fire early, forces out the Tahm Kench ultimate, and you just can't make those mistakes, even though Hong 2 is just so monstrous on this Swain as a pseudo frontline member. But unfortunately, the damage, not quite there. So the side of J-Team, they do the correct thing. Ignore him for the most part, and just make sure you kill everyone else first.
Yeah, Hong 2 is still difficult to take down, but really good positioning from Rock. Uniboy getting around the backside, making sure Whale never had a moment to breathe, and Lil V opening that one up. He knows his job at this point is to just look for as much damage as he can find. And here we go again, right back to the same spot into the backline. Whale does stay alive here, even without any summoners. He's keeping himself on the backline right now. That shutdown onto Rock means that there's a numbers advantage here to play with for MFT for how long as Uniboy goes forward, goes golden immediately, and that's the turn now as Taco looks for something, taking Kongye out of this. But once again, J-Team firing back, take Whale down, take Issue down, and they win this one.
If that was Super Minions actually in the mid lane, we could definitely conclude that this game might have been over. But unfortunately, not actually having the extra minions to shove and try and end the game.
Lil V though. Kill though nonetheless. Hong 2 gets bursted out, and Lil V just goes on an absolute spree here by finding an aggressive dash forward. Now with the timer resets, Taco and 665 the only ones up. You got to think J-Team turns on the Baron here, even with Kongye 10 seconds away.
And finally, J-Team have figured out how to play their composition. It only took 30 minutes into the game, Pyra. But
I said they were a slow team. I said they were a slow team, and here's the proof in the pudding. But they are getting it back, and yeah, taking advantage of MFT mispositioning, even though they turtled up as a 5-member. Fantastic flanks around the side, great vision, teleports. Rock and Uniboy have been monumental, and I misspoke about the Baron. It will in fact be Dragon spawning, and J-Team are going to get themselves on Soul Point as well. So things are looking up for the J-Team squad. It was a scary 30 minutes, and well, now they're right back on the board.
Finally, J-Team fans can breathe a sigh of relief, as
it's not over till it's over, Nightstar.
It does feel like they've figured out the solution to the problem, to the issue, you might say. And
burning issues swallow.
Yeah, you know, they have an 8K gold, and they've evened up the dragons to a degree, while the scaling, you know, is still at somewhat at a disadvantage. Rock, the main member who does scale, is quite monstrous, and he has the Shadow Flame completed, which means he pretty much does true damage to Whale, who doesn't have any magic resistance. And when he gets that shield, of course, you get the extra magic pen coming in from Shadow Flame.
Yeah, you know, I said this this composition wasn't going to be all about Lil V, but he has been flexing on this Lucian of late and finding openings for his team, finding just massive culling damage. And now they start off on the Baron. This is in full vision. They should turn the fight. Look at Rock's positioning right now, and he looks for the long wrap around. The charm does land, and 665 taken almost down to 0, and now the turn is on once again. The trap has been snapped, and Uniboy pushing the damage. Taco takes the full culling and goes down into the cease and desist. Kongye with the chase down, and Uniboy will be able to finish off 665. And with that wave, MFT are waving goodbye to game number 1, despite Hong 2's best efforts. It's not going to go that way. Only Issue lives, but the base is going to be next.
And J-Team, after a very labored effort, 37 minutes, those look like they will be able to secure themselves game number 1. Super Minions piling in. Death timer is way too long, and it's only a Tahm Kench who's stuck in their side of the jungle.
Yeah, that's GG, 37.5 minutes. A longer game, a slower game. But in the end, J-Team, the higher seed, do prevail. As we did expect, it took them a while to get there. There are troubling signs. Perhaps they can brave the stormy seas and get themselves back into calm waters soon.
And for the side of MFT, I am not too unhappy with how this game transpired, right? The early game really played out towards how you wanted to play. You threw some attention up into that top lane, and unfortunately, Taco unable to really effectively snowball off of that lead. But you have to like the look, right? Because Whale also did very, very well in the lane phase, even though we said, hey, this should be a very lopsided lane. Didn't turn out that way. And that bodes well for MFT's chances to make a dent in this series.
Yeah, I think MFT really played it out well early and in the mid game. A handful of mistakes, particularly Whale's positioning, and also just I think not recognizing some of J-Team's map movements. Taco got caught out a couple of times trying to push on the side lane. J-Team started to speed things up. It was a very slow ramp up, but MFT played incredibly well up until that point. They lost out on some of these fights, and it was all about positioning. It was all about getting themselves caught out in a bad spot and being susceptible to a gank. Those fights don't happen. They do outscale. They do get the win, and I think that's not something that really anyone was going to be expecting coming into today, even in a single game. So there is definitely life in this team. There is definitely some chances. I like what they brought out in the draft, and it worked out well for them. 2/3 of the game, it's just that last third is what matters.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they didn't find the most impactful team fights at the end of the game for MFT, which is why J-Team, they're the ones out to somewhat expected result in the 1-0. How they got there? Not expected.
Yeah, I think J-Team are going to have to pick up the pace for sure. Like, they could very well still get a sweep on the series, but I would hesitate to call it clean based on the results of that first game. If I'm the J-Team coaching staff, I got to be going back and saying, guys, we need to get faster. We need to get more decisive. And if you're going to pick something like Lucian Nami, you need to be more aggressive down bot early. And they traded out a little bit, but other than shoving waves, they didn't get much done. Kongye tried once or twice for a lane gank, and that was about all we saw. I want to see more out of this J-Team side if they want to make a serious deep run in the playoffs and really live up to the fact that they are the number 3 seed. Because if not, I think we could be in for another split of the postseason J-Team jitters.
Man, J-Team fans, if this goes down poorly, they're going to be in shambles. As you said, your bracket's probably yeeted into the sun.
Saved for now. It's saved for now, Nightstar. The dream is still alive. We will see. I can't believe we had all different picks like that. We were very much on different pages for our predictions, but for this game, we did get the result. Just not how we thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, this is for our English broadcast. 4 of our casters picked them to go to Worlds in some degree. So, just saying.
They're going to have to level up a little bit. Let's take a look at some of the final fights in this one. I mean, this was actually a fantastic play by Meta Falcon team, and one of the weaknesses of playing the Lucian Nami, particularly that Nami on this patch 12.14, he's just not as sustainable as he used to be. You're susceptible to big burst. Enchanter supports, I mean, they're fun, but you gotta respect the damage, and yeah,
the turn here, this was the key moment where we saw maybe J-Team have found the solution to the problem. Unfortunately, MFT, that was a moment
this
in
is where
time
they found a solution.
Yeah, that was a moment in time where they just didn't have enough oomph to be able to finish off Whale after he came out of the Devour. This, I think, was also, so this was where, all of a sudden they had enough damage. They just kind of focused on one target at a time, which for the side of J-Team, remember, this is a composition, while didn't have the greatest team fight damage, had a lot of single target damage. So they kind of changed their priorities to just saying, hey, we just overload our entire kit onto one champ. We can burst them out and just move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think finally finding that realization really did make all the difference, but it took a long time to get there, and you can see it in the gold graph, how it started ramping up after the 20-minute mark. J-Team were finding little advantages, but they didn't start finding the fights until much later. They had to deal with Hong 2 and how he was becoming a monster. They had to contend with the fact that there was going to be the Aphelios timer to play with, but once they started making moves around the map, finding picks, finding openings, that's when it took off for J-Team. And I would like to see them launching a little bit faster for games 2, 3, and however many more we get.
Yeah, this was a composition from J-Team that it felt like they should have been very far ahead at the 20-minute mark, maybe around that 4 to 6K margin. And at 20 minutes, they were dead even. So credit goes to MFT to be able to hold the game steady. Now it's about them being able to find the finishing blow, to find that one big killer fight when they have advantages, to then snowball into it, the Dragon Soul or that Baron. Because you imagine if they were able to get the Dragon Soul at the 6th dragon, then maybe this game just turns completely different.
Yeah, I think they just got slowly squeezed out and couldn't really find the angles, and that's when they started focusing on trying to bowl their way through. But one of the man that did not let them do it was Uniboy. He stepped up big time in some of those fights, finding flank angles alongside Rock and getting priority targets, landing massive charms and dishing the damage. Once he actually started building into the damage, we started to see him take off 30% of his teams by the end of the game. And yeah, that's the Uniboy we were hoping to see, we were expecting to see. And I think in the back half of this game, he definitely proved he's back.
He finally ended up stepping up towards that end game, and on the Ari pick, no less. A lot of playmaking potential, but perhaps not the highest damage potential coming in from the mid lane. But he lived up to it. He was able to deal the damage and be able to find the pick. So he really did it all for his squad.
Well, it may have taken J-Team a little while, but they managed to get that first win on the board. We'll see if they can do it again. Or will Meta Falcon team strike back right after this break.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
I give you everything that I have, but it's never enough. I try to take you through to the end and love you till the end of time. You always get what you want, that I won't stop fighting till you understand, that I'll love you till the end of time. Till the end of time. Till the end of time. Girl, I want you every night. Come on over. Girl, we do this every time. Come on over. You always get what you want, that I won't stop fighting till you understand, that I'll love you till the end of time. Till the end of time. taking my pain away. Nothing else more to say. Everything that I have, I'll give. First, you gotta pick a side. Now you got a team and you're rolling with the pride. Wanna play the game, make it to the end. I wanna bring it back again. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof. All the mistakes I made, now I can change my fate. No one can take this heart away. First, you gotta pick a side. Now you got a team and you're rolling with the pride. Wanna play the game and make it to the end. I wanna bring it back again. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way. Find another way to fight another day. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof. How long can it last, you ask me? As long as you want, if you give it a try. But you still gotta pass, you ain't passed yet. You gotta let go and leave it behind. Can you tell me now, baby? You gotta let me know. If you're all in, can you say it aloud, baby? You gotta let me know. So just say the words.
就要被离开眼前是完了，
德国军推到3个，终于推到4个，这边的空就是一个2打3的画面，Triple Kill。
电子助攻就要被离开眼前是完了，我们的 Rock 看起来没打得好，
但是自己被这个世界给弹回来，又是 Alex 的一个壁咚，准备要在这一波将这波人全员冲掉。
差了一个位置，又是第3个，我的天啊！
咱们是拿了一个搭手，开始持续的追击，现在的话瞄准他的 Triple，
被波手他换了一个治愈，多你一个治愈之后就被点出了。
这个红魔的一个推，拿着不帮忙变向我把小林给推了回去。
And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Summer Split. We are one game into this best-of-5 series in the losers bracket between J-Team and Meta Falcon Team, and it has already been unexpected. But you know what's not unexpected? Our wonderful sponsors being awesome, of course, CTBC Bank and China Airlines. Thank you so much for making the PCS possible and looking to send our teams to Worlds here later on at the end of this whole run. One of these teams may very well be the one to make it, Frank. But I do think, at least in J-Team's case, there's going to have to be a big step up. Even in that win, took them a while to get there, a lot longer than expected.
A lot of expectations are on this J team. They made big roster moves coming in from last split. They pretty much not last split, it was last year, right? They completely overhauled the roster. So the expectation is really, as always, Worlds or bust. And right now, in the lower bracket, that game 1 did not inspire confidence.
No, it is important that they got the win. I think J-Team are a squad that are very, very much dependent on their own confidence, their own momentum, because they are such a slow-building team. So getting there in the end, getting the Nexus against a objectively weaker team does mean that they should be able to start rolling over them as they have done in the past. But there was some stuff that I think MFT did incredibly well. We could see them surprise in the next game. The draft is going to be very telling. We will be getting a selection swap as Meta Falcon team have opted to go to blue side for this game too.
Yeah, and we'll see where the Sivir priority is in this game number 2. If it does get taken away by the side of J-Team, or if MFT are even willing to go ahead pick it up for the first pick, because it's not the strongest laner. And I think for both of these bot lanes, they need to get a champion that feels like can stand tall in lane.
Right now in the picks and bans for game 2, it's all about those jungles though. MFG focusing on Konge's pool, the Vi taken away, and the Pantheon he showcased in the match against Beyond Gaming. For J-Team, they get rid of the Poppy on red side as to be expected, and the Sivir as well.
Kalista still available here. So that's the big champion I'm taking a look at if I'm the side of MFT. And for J-Team, maybe take a look at the Lucian, and maybe that's something they want to go back towards. Maybe they go ahead and ban away the Philios. And it will be Wukong, so really knocking down the jungle pool quite a bit. So we're looking at, Trundle, Xin, Viego being the best junglers left available.
Yeah, I think we might start to dip into the Jarvans, the Nocturnes. I'd love to see that. Nocturne put in an appearance last night. Frank Esports, I think it very well could be a choice here as the Mordekaiser is banned away. I do like the J-Team are respecting that on Taco. They leave Kalista open though. So this could be the takeaway from Lil V, and it is for Whale.
That is Whale's most played champion during the split. And it really changes how they're able to play, right? Because then you're bringing in Engage from the AD carry role, and it also alleviates the Engage duties off of 665. As you saw, as the game goes further and further, you don't want to throw your jungle in when he has so much of the kills, because he can just get bursted out very easily. J-Team, as a result, they quickly respond with the Sylas. It does mean Azir is still left available for MFT, and I think they will be more than happy to snap that one up.
Yeah, a lot of power picks being given to MFT that have been typically banned away from a lot of sides. With the jungle pool being pretty depleted, I wouldn't be too surprised to see 665 on something like the Viego. It has been his most played champion, and without it being, the same regular hard engage, it does seem to look like a pick comp in the making for Meta Falcon team.
I would prefer the Trundle to have more of that lane presence, but I can also see why MFT, they go for this Viego pick. Perhaps snowball early on, right? You get a couple kills into the Viego in that first fight, and all of a sudden Viego's just popping up and down the river, taking souls. And okay, the Galio pick.
It's an old school MFT comp. That's what we got. This is what they were known for in the spring split, finding the Wombo combo. And Galio typically was a Wen champion, but now it's going to be Hong too.
Well, see where it actually goes as far as which lane.
I guess it could be a support pick.
Yeah,
it could be for issue. That's true. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, and especially when you do lock in the melee support, it opens up that angle for MFT if they want to explore that direction. And for J Team, they go ahead, lock themselves in the Philios Nautilus. Nothing too surprising to see here. Very old school lane. And now the fun part will be in the second phase. The Renata will be taken off the table for the Callista. And maybe something, I don't know, like a Gragas might be really annoying for them to try and deal with the cask being able to disperse and perhaps pick off the Philios later on in the game and create just a lot of disruption, you know, on top of the Galio. Or they look for the Camille, who combines very well with that Galio as well.
This is incredible. MFT have taken all of their bans at Kongye so far. Like, what else are they gonna get rid of? Did they ban? Yeah, they banned the Lee Sin. I was about to ask. All 5 bans thrown at Kongye. They do not want him to have fun playing League of Legends today.
Still leaves up to Lee Sin, or not Lee Sin, the Xin.
Yeah,
so
I mean, yeah, it does. But
I feel like you're kind of stuck on Xin duties, but instead they actually save last pick here for Kongye. So if something really spicy comes out from the side of MFT, maybe they fall onto the Kiana, right? Where if you're given this backline access, as we've seen, J Team, they've been playing a lot more flank heavy as of late. That could be the way for them to really mess with MFT on how they want to establish more front to back playstyle.
So I wanna petition an idea here, Nightstar. Sejuani could potentially, just maybe, be a flex into the jungle.
I would have liked to see the Galio go into that bottom lane in this instance, and then they just go ahead and lock themselves into Azir in this particular instance, because if you're scared about the dive, you know, that is one way to easily clear things out. But now, as you mentioned, it could just be the Sejuani into the jungle.
Yeah, Jack's last pick in here for Rock, and it's been a champion Taco's been much happier to take. But all of a sudden, this is a terrifying late game J Team comp.
A lot of scaling here coming in from the side of J Team, but it's not too shabby over on the side of MFT. They don't have all the scaling at the late game part, but in the mid game, they're incredibly strong. And if they are able to effectively snowball, Taco in the late game can 1v9 certain situations with how much damage the Gwen can output late game.
And Taco has been a player that in the past iteration of MFT was able to do that. Again, talking about his spring split performance, he had massive standouts. Gwen was one of the champions that let him do it. I think there are a lot of tools on this MFT side. Their mid game is certainly going to be terrifying. But J Team have built themselves a very straightforward game plan, right? They've got scaling just about everywhere. They have a incredible 4-1. And as long as Rock doesn't get shoved in too hard against the Gwen, always a possibility, I think he is going to have a pretty solid game himself. We've seen Jax be shut down. It's going to be on J Team's side, particularly Kongye, to be not letting him fall too far behind and get too delayed.
And for the side of J Team, I like this composition crafting because they've got 4 melees, which really plays towards Sejuani's strengths, being able to get those resets on the stun very, very quickly. Unfortunately, though, it also means this is pretty much a full dive composition. Lil V is off on his own. If the side of MFT can get onto Lil V, and they have the Galio to try and do so, it's not going to be a lot of fun for the AD carry of J Team.
Yeah, not just the Galio, right? That's CC City on the MFT side, and we'll have to see if Lil V is the target du jour. And if MFT can find a win back into the game, it should come in the mid stages. Tie us up at 1-1, but J Team not going to be keen on letting that happen. They would like their redemption arc to start right here, right now, and make a run through the lower bracket. Keep in mind, J Team, this is a squad an organization that has not been on the world stage since 2019.
Yeah.
For such a storied org, for so many strong players too. They would love to get back to that stage, but they have a long climb to do it. Even if they win here today, Nightstar, they have to face off against whoever loses between PSG and CTBC Flying Oyster. That ain't going to be easy.
Yeah, from now on, if they drop a single series, that's them out of world contention. For PCS, it's only the final 2 teams that will make the world's stage, and means that there is no room for error once you do get knocked down to the lower stage.
You look at our start here. Hongye. Make it a leash. I think they were just shadowing to make sure that there wasn't going to be an invade coming through. So let's talk a little bit about Sejuani in the jungle. This was a champion that made quite a lot of appearances there in the past, but has fallen out of favor in exchange for the top lane Sejuani.
Yes. And it's not really Sejuani's fault for falling out of the jungle role. It's just the fact that top lane Sejuani is just way too strong. As we get to see early level 1 trade, it is lethal tempo on this Jack, so he does much work.
Yeah, doesn't go all in. Keep in mind the difference in summoners too. Rock has the flash while Taco has the ignite. That is a bit of a mutually assured destruction summoner. You know, don't kill me, otherwise I'll kill you too. But I do like what Rock is bringing out here. After his last series performance was a bit mixed, I like to see him getting a little more aggressive early on in this game.
This is a great way to do so. Great level 1 start. When you run something like the Lethal Tempo, it's all about the individual duels, and especially so about that level 1. If you get that level 1 trade, the Lethal Tempo means you just pump out so much damage, and there's just no response. Kongyue, we fully expect him to try and make a trip up into the top lane. That's why you see Rock pushing very aggressively, because once the bounce happens, it does put Taco in a very precarious position. And that's why you see 665 actually make an early move up towards this top half.
Yeah, 665 got very active early in the first game on Wukong, and I really like to see him as a player stepping up there. But then he started to get a little bit too aggro, waited out in the brush over by blue buff on the enemy side, kind of got punished hard for it. Let's see what he does on this Viego. Level 3, going to be able to clear Scuttle Crab away. And Viego's a champion that has seen a lot of action here in the PCS and hasn't been the top tier pick for a little bit. But so many jungle bans by his own team. 665 dips into his pool.
And a great minion wave pull coming in from Taco, able to establish a bit of a freeze up in the top lane. That helps him out considerably and getting him back in.
Ooh, engage down bot. It doesn't result in anything, but Issue going the distance on that Zenith Blade.
Yeah, and Whale on the Callista pick.
Enzo finds him.
Pick he really likes to play. Gives him a bit of a lane presence and allows him to be more of a facilitating role as the game moves on. But for Lil V, this is also his Aphelios, which, I mean, if we remember his pool back in spring, it was really Aphelios or bust. Didn't look the same when he was put on champions not Aphelios, so look for him to be really comfortable on this champion.
Well, what you predicted came to pass. Kongyue up in this top side looking for the gank, but 665 is also there. They get the stun off onto Taco. Here comes Kongyue, instantly completes the charge with the flash, and they get first blood. Rock trying to run for the hills, but 665 will take him down. As the trade completes, both top laners lose their lives and their summoners on B.
It will be 665 shoving this wave out. Unfortunately, Rock will be able to still catch it, that he does have the teleport. And it's going to be about these junglers now. Because Kongyue able to get that first gank off. He gets a kill into himself for 665. He gets extra EXP because of him being able to shove in that extra wave of minions as we get to see the trade. It's really nice coming in from Kongyue, being able to flash forward and get the double stun. So much extra damage coming in from the W as well from low range. So, all things considered, J-Team, they trade up in that exchange, getting the first blood, and also having CS advantages all across the board.
Yeah, they would like to get the kill on the Jax and not the Sejuani, but, you know, nothing can be quite perfect, so J-Team off to a decent start. It is going to be all about Rock in the late game. Of course, Lil V will still have a fair bit to do as well, and that's been a pretty quiet lane despite a little bit of trading here and there. The CS edge given to the Aphelios, but with both supports being able to set up a fight at a moment's notice, I think that could change pretty quickly. And this mid lane we haven't talked about much because it's a Galio, and he doesn't really have the kill threat as much. I mean, I guess sometimes he does, but usually when it's a player named Mission, Konge is coming right back to this top side. Taco could be in trouble.
Only level 5.
Yeah, both sides there, and that's going to be the stun up. They tank some tower shots. Konge walks out of it. Can't finish the fight, but Rock is looking for a second wind on here. Here they go. That Galio's coming in. The hero's entrance. It comes in just to secure things by Uniboy as he basically teleports short range up, but MFT take advantage of the lapse of position by grabbing themselves that first Dragon Breath of the Cloud for a kill and some plates. That's a great trade for J-Team.
Yeah, a great result for the side of J-Team. It's not quite the same as we saw in the previous game, right? Where Taco, he dies to a dive, but then the side of MFT are able to sink themselves a combat dragon. This time, that's not the case. They land with the Cloud Dragon here. Not going to have the same sort of impact. It's still first dragon into their hands, which at 7 minutes is pretty early. But I think, all things considered, J-Team are very pleased with the result, being able to get that dive off, put this Gwen even further behind as we get to see the replay of Home 2 and Uniboy having a bit of a scrap, but once that CC gets bopped, and really nice.
I was wondering.
Yeah, really.
I was
nice
wondering
use
which
of the
Galio
blast
was
plan.
going to be. Yeah, that was a nice play by Uniboy. But yeah, the moment the Galio here's entrance comes in, it's like, wait a minute. Oh no, that's going to be Uniboy doing it. Okay. Whale takes a little bit of damage from Lil V there, and they will push it on back again as he's able to catch up quite nicely in the farm game. But yeah, J-Team have the tempo advantage. A note about the Dragons too is since the next one is going to be the Ocean, and that first was the Cloud, we're pretty much guaranteed to get a pretty solid combat soul.
Yep.
It's always
So
nice to
it will
see.
be a stat dragon for our soul. It'll be interesting and fun to see which one it
Aren't they
actually
all
ends up
stat
being.
dragons, Night Star? It's just some are less stats,
True.
or less desirable stats, if you will.
Okay,
They're all good
possible
dragons.
setup.
Good
Oh,
flash from Lil
that's
V,
a whip.
and the hook doesn't go from Enzo, but he is going to try and get that knockup
Could get
on
the
the depth charge.
kill.
Lil V stays alive, burns both his summoners. But he is going to be able to get away a little out of position, and Enzo very far forward into MFT jungle.
Yeah, Enzo trying to get some vision down, and Lil V just kind of saying, "Hey, you know, I want to play forward to make sure if my support runs into trouble, I can help bail him out." Unfortunately, he doesn't account for the fact that they could just turn on to him instead.
Yeah.
And Enzo not quite, well, close enough to actually be able to save him in the end. But
Boy, from downtown, they make the play
persistence.
once again, and Taco is able to cut him down to size. I really like this swap up because it enabled such a great play. With Whale now dealing with Rock, even with a 2-level disadvantage, picking up a fair amount of CS and farm.
yeah, and this is a fantastic swap coming in from MFT, knowing that, hey, we definitely don't win this 1v1 now that Taco got denied a huge wave at his tower by dying to that dive. So we just need to swap our Kalista into that situation, and then they keep their support down in the bot lane, and they go for the kill on Lil V. It ends up paying off here, and that tightens up the gold differential.
Yeah, this is a great adaptation. I mean, MFT, we don't often expect this out of teams that are further down in the standings. They usually don't have the good game sense to adapt in those situations, and we see them, you know, losing out more often than not because they just keep falling behind. MFT are always a team with a game plan, and clearly they have leveled it up. I love this change up. They're still down about 1,000 gold at 10 minutes, but they are making changes, making it a little bit harder for the J-Team to win more, as it were, as they will look for a rotation down the bottom. Who's out of position? Once again, it's Lil V. No flash this time. 665 an issue on the chase. That's going to be into the Heartbreaker, and yeah, Lil V knows he is absolutely a dead man. cannot get away. 665 is on the board.
This is some of the issues that we saw during the spring kind of come back to haunt them, perhaps again.
Oh yeah,
as
it's happening
Lil V
again.
Was really, Lil V, he was picked on so much during spring split. If you went ahead, banned him out, or just sent a bunch of jungle attention down in that bottom lane, he was really just put off kilter. As now we're going to try and get some plates here. And it looks like they're going to try and push for tower, but the teleport and the roam.
That's everybody really investing the time and effort in, but they do manage to get the stun off on a whale. He is going to burn his own cleanse to get out of dodge, and Uniboy comes in, steals the Leona ultimate, pops it, forces the flash out of whale. It's a good reaction from J-Team as they deny the Herald push and dive. They should be able to set themselves up for this Ocean Dragon nicely. They're going to lose some plate pressure by Taco in exchange for it, though. Here comes the dive once again. Whale, blue smite on, here comes Rocket to the back, that counter-strike, that's enough! They get the kill. Not only do they do that, they get the double, cleaning up issue. Great moves, and it means Rock gets on the board with 2 kills. They'll get more plates, the teleport back up. They can claim the dragon as well. Everything comes up J-Team.
J-Team with a huge play. If they don't find that play right afterwards, 665, he's still looking to try and go for a steal. They have the Galio ultimate available. They might actually just YOLO into it, but they end up pulling off in the end. Yeah, for the side of J-Team, if they don't find those 2 kills, it's just such a massive win for the side of MFT. But because the situation diffuses early on, Home 2 actually just goes back into the mid lane, and once he shows there, J-Team, they pull the trigger and continue to try and force the issue. Because of that, those extra plate the extra plate gold that MFT were able to snag up doesn't mean as much. Whereas before, it could have just been, hey, they don't get those 2 kills, MFT, they get plates, and they only trade out for an Ocean Dragon. Again, one of those dragons that doesn't really provide a lot of combat stats.
This was a great read by J-Team. They really knew that the MFT game plan hinged on keeping Lil V down, bullying him over and over again. So they used that against them. Just saying, all right, well, we're going to bring everybody to the party. And then the moment Hong 2 backed off, they knew they could make the dive happen down bot. And Kongye is right back on this bottom lane. Issue and Whale are going to have to head for the hills because their tower is not long for the rift. Calling in 665 for a bit of help, but there's nothing to fight over here, so it won't happen. Uniboy, for Hong 2, does have the needlework stolen from a Gwen earlier if he wanted to use it. Hong 2 knows he can't fight this out. Kongye runs into 665 an issue, but is tanky enough to back away. And I'm really liking this jungle Sejuani pick. Can go the full tank and still have some great engage in the hands of Kongye. Is a great champion to start these fights off for J-Team.
665 around.
Find issue. They want to chase this. Here comes
Uniboy. Here.
Hero's entrance should be coming in shortly, but Enzo is able to go golden through it, and now the second wind effort. Moonlight Vigil does land. Enzo taking a lot of damage. Needlework stolen and used. As Hong 2 and 665 take a lot of damage. The Glacial Prison comes through, but they don't have the follow-up to do it. They back away, and nobody goes down in this fight.
A lot of cooldowns thrown, but no kills to actually come out of that exchange. Hong 2 also has to burn both of his summoners. And on the flip side, they still have everything except for Enzo's summoners, which, well, not the biggest deal, but issue might be a little bit too far forward.
Okay, he just sidesteps out the slow, and this should be the tower shortly. MFT really want to get that first brick, and they'll secure it. But they, man, they had to work for it. Now, J-Team are reading Meta Falcon Team a lot better in the last 5-6 minutes of this game. They are reacting quicker, and I like that. That's something we didn't see out of them last game until the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, being a little bit more proactive and trying to force their own plays in response to J-Team. But J-Team also being a lot more proactive in just creating their own plays, right? That's what we didn't see. It was them just sort of letting the game happen and saying, you know what, we're the better players. Once it gets to late game, we'll probably win out because we can outhand them. And it got really dicey because they didn't have the scaling quite there to fully allow that to occur. This time, they do have the scaling, and they're also making enough moves that they're not giving too much leeway to MFT as well.
Yeah, J-Team have clearly recognized that the complacency has been killing them, so they are moving as a unit, starting off on this Herald. Uniboy looking to run interference, and MFT would love to fight for this, but there goes the Glacial Prison. They turn their attention, but a split focus, and the channel on for the Hero's entrance. They take a lot of time, but they do take a lot of damage, and J-Team just line them up and knock them down. Lil V gets hung to out of this one, and Issue is got nowhere to go. The double kill for Lil V, even Rock picks one up, and they also secure the Herald off the back of it. J-Team get everything they wanted.
And for the side of MFT, they got stuck in that choke point, and you just can't navigate around the stolen Galio ultimate in that case because you're running 4 melee champions of your own along with a very low range AD carry in the Callista. And as you see here, they just get stuck in the choke point. They can't do anything, and once the Galio ultimate comes down, Whale also just cannot auto. He maybe gets 2 autos, maybe even 3 that entire fight. And this is going to be a very one-sided damage chart when that damage chart does show up.
Yeah, it really wasn't much of a team fight, more of a cleanup, and J-Team, they knew exactly what they were doing there. Rock sitting in the middle with the Counter-Strike. This Jax is fully online. Mob Melt Mortius now completed in addition to the Divine Sunderer, and that is going to be a problem.
Problem's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
they
maybe
have
just a little
so
bit.
much magic damage built into their composition from the top lane, mid lane, and also a little bit from the support that this magic resistance heavy build is going to nullify a ton of that damage.
Uniboy's done such a great job on this Silas, by the way. I just want to shout out, like, his job has basically been take the best ultimate that he can and use it to either set up a fight or set up a counter engage. A lot of the time it's been Hong2's Galio, but yeah, see what he can do here with that Solar Flare as the Infernal Dragon is live. 18 minutes on the game, and MFT realize they are choked once again. Here we go for the fight. Rock into the front line, and they just can't really do enough damage to take him out of this one, but he is forced to flash away as they couldn't quite follow through. Moonlight Vigil does a lot to chip the health bars away, and that's going to be Taco taken out of this one. Rock will finally fall, but it is well worth the effort as 665 can go absolutely nowhere. Lil V picking up a second, and soon to be more if they can keep this chase going, but they do not need it. So they'll back away to reset, take the Drake. Not as clean of a fight as we've seen from J-Team before, but they still get the win.
They get the win, and feels like they want to try and get a little bit more
Yeah,
here.
they do! Here we go, the hooks are right on. Junior Boy's buying some time for his team, and they will be able to grab Hong2 and then some as the flash under tower looking for Issue to clean him up. The triple kill comes through as Junior Boy gets himself on the board with some kills.
Boy, just popping off, getting the MVP in the previous game, and now lands himself a triple.
Meanwhile, Koge
19 minutes.
didn't even need to be there. It's just like, I got Dragon, guys. You guys have fun in mid lane. This is very confident from J-Team, and they have earned it. This is so much different, so much better than last game.
Yeah, absolutely. We get to see the replay here. Korea just knows, hey, we are so strong at this point. Why? It's because we have an Aphelios, they have a Callista. Callista doesn't have a whole lot of kills at the stage in the game, which means that there is no threat onto our backline champion of Aphelios. So Aphelios just gets to unload so much damage.
How many years of game design was that play? That's what I want to know.
That was, you know, at probably around the 120 mark.
Okay, it's respectable.
So,
he's
yeah,
ramping
not
up.
the full 200, but he's definitely ramping up, and he's really, really scary. And the side of MFT, they don't have any dive pressure. This is a much different composition, or should be, than what they ran in the previous game, where they should be looking for more of those flanks that J-Team saw. And MFT, if they take 30 minutes to try and figure that part out, well, the game's probably over by then.
Yeah, this is a pretty big gold lead here. It's about 6,000. The Dragon lead as well. We're not even looking at the damage charts because it just has been all J-Team. They're going to be overrunning into the MFT side. Now setting up for another play. Konge's been absolutely fire with these Ice Bolas. We'll see if he finds another one again. Just an optimistic push. Not going to get it here. Baron being live does mean they can maybe turn if they get a fight off the back of this one. And letting the Galio come in means to look for the reset. Rock a little bit slow on this transition, though, so they could be in trouble. They tag in. She takes a lot of the damage. Kongye does fall, but here's the second win. They have the damage. The double kill for Lil V, and he is just pumping it out as the tanks hold firm. A massive win again. A triple kill for Lil V. Right on to Baron Nashor. They only lose their jungle.
Pyra, this could have been a Camille Galio combination. The side of J-Team, they did not ban out this Camille pick, and if you're looking for a way to kill Lil V, it's Camille Galio. Instead, they throw out the Galio ultimate, doesn't find anything. It's also Inferno Rift, so there's so much more space to play around. And they just can't get onto the Velio. Guys, he's the only champion we should care about, but instead they turn all their attention and damage onto the Sejuani, who is running Aftershock. So it just makes her even tankier than per usual. And it is not, the target selection is just not panning out for the side of MFT.
No, MFT are crashing harder than Crypto right now, so not a whole lot they can do to get back into this game. You have to start thinking about what they're going to be doing in Game 3, barring a miracle fight. Maybe Taco gets those flanks, but all of a sudden it's night and day from the first game.
Yeah, and they're really baiting this one out.
Yep,
they're going to be successful.
Crack the gargoyle. Down he goes. And Kongye's getting on the board with kills, so now they're going to be able to get themselves that tower. Baron empowered easily peasily. Uniboy still on mid lane, shoving the wave. Looking to end this one quickly as J-Team.
Baron minions coming in. They don't really have any Baron minion. Okay, maybe an overextension.
Okay, maybe just a little bit. That's okay. If she's able to tank through it, but it's low risk. It's not much of an overextension if you don't die, right? And Rock just throws on the counter-strike. Takes a little more damage than he maybe should have. And Taco, meanwhile, is trying to go in the hunt to pick up the first tower MFT have got in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, teleport coming in. It looks like J-Team, they want to go for a game-ending play.
Why not? The way they're leading right now, certainly much more confident team in Game 2. Looking for that one. They do manage to take 665 out before Hong 2 can even arrive. The inhibitor is going to be felled, and now they rotate. Look for more. Look for picks if they can find it. Rock is a monster. Lil V has been untouched. J-Team seem to be able to do no wrong in this game too, and Rock, even though he gets caught, he turns around into all the members. Absolutely no fear. Now it's stolen Galio. Uniboy comes in. Enzo gets taunted, but he's able to flash out to safety, and this is going to be the game winner right now for J-Team. 20 kills, make it 21. What the hell? Make it 22 and 23. We're going to end this one right here, right now, even with 665 coming back on the board. He's immediately chased back to Fountain. They keep him stiff-armed, and they're just going to keep padding those stats in this one. Lil V peppering him with chakrams. He'll take him down. Finally, they get shut down. Doesn't matter. 24 minutes on the clock, and they get the win, going up to match point.
Kill per minute. This is the J-Team we expected to see. Just go ahead, ground pound your opposition. It took a game to do it, but they figured out the method to the madness, and this is the team we expected. And for MFT, now they've got really the monster to deal with. They poked it awake, and finally, you know, here they are.
Something about sleeping giants, 9-star. J-Team have finally woken up, and oh boy, they find themselves in the lower bracket. I think it will be a angry morning for this squad as they look to start the redemption arc. If they can close this one out with sweep, that would put to bed some of the doubters. I think they still have a long road to go, but that was a lot better. That's what we expected to see from this team.
Absolutely. And for J-Team, a much needed confidence boost. Maybe getting rid of some of those jitters in game number 1. Probably left over from their series loss, to be fair, in their series 2 days ago. But this is everything we wanted to see, right? You get an advantage and you really reinforce that advantage. Continue to attack those edges. And Uniboy, this time around, like, he gets to Silas. As I mentioned before, Silas is here. He's a completely different player. And even though in game 1 on the Ari pick, he was able to find those later game team fights, it's just a completely different beast when he's on Silas and he gets to make early game plays.
Yeah, and for Hung too, that Galio is really a liability because he wasn't getting nearly as much out of his own ultimate as Uniboy was. Uniboy was resetting fights off the back of it, and you have to consider that. Obviously, you know, when the Silas comes into play even earlier, but the Galio didn't do nearly enough to combo up. The Callista never got to get rolling, and very clearly, J-Team knew how to play against it. There's a reason they preferred it themselves, but that was a much better play of protecting Lil V, or at the very least, being on the offense so hard, so deep that there was never a chance for Lil V to be chased down because everyone on MFT was focused on defending their own front line.
Yeah, and the difficulty when playing a flank composition is when you get engaged upon, you don't get the time to set up your flanks. So that's why we saw J-Team be so decisive, because if given the time, then you have the Gwen coming in from behind or the Galio, and then Lil V finds these fights a lot harder to play out. But I think J-Team learned a lot from game number 1 as well, right? They were playing the flank composition. They struggled a lot before they were able to establish flanks. But now, this time around, they took those lessons to heart and just said, hey, if we just go on a dime, then Lil V gets the extra space because they aren't trying to find angles to come in from behind.
Yeah, much better protection. Uniboy using that Hero's entrance to make a big play once again. And you can see, as soon as they realized they could get aggressive, they never let up the pressure. Big ups to Konge. I really like the Sejuani tech, as it was the flex into the jungle with so many bans thrown his way. He still found a way, still found an answer. And even when they were in a bad position like this, well, they turn it all around. Part of it's target selection. Konge takes a lot of damage here, and he does go down. But that's all of the big abilities used, dumped into the tank. And then J-Team say, all right, it's our turn. Rock absorbs a lot of pressure. Uniboy's still completely untouched in the back, and they funnel into the choke point and just get deleted. Lil V was just like the biggest bait of all time. They thought they could take him out, but he was well protected.
Yeah, they just never turned their attention towards Lil V. And on the Sephilius pick, again, this is his big comfort champion. I don't hate that MFT went to the blue side. I think they should stay onto the blue side, but they do need to change a couple of things. Like 5 bans towards the Kongra, he's not the main carry. If you threw 5 bans to Lil V, I can understand.
Yeah, I think they were worried a little bit about maybe draining their own champion pool in the bot lane, but I agree. I think another couple of champions targeting out Lil V, or maybe even Taco, because he had a standout performance with a little bit of help from the Sejuani. Uniboy as well. You have to consider that Silas is a huge threat that you do not want to deal with. It was a very different look, even from the Ari. He did get rolling on that in game number 1, but it took a while. I think MFT have to download this J-Team composition and adjust their strategy.
And there was the opportunity to do so from MFT, right? They could have gone for the Camille, or they could have done some, if they wanted to play more front to back, they go for the Zir rather than the Galio. And in both cases, they just kind of sat in the middle where they were like, yeah, we'll play a little bit of dive, and then we'll play a little bit of front to back. And as a result, it was just too discombobulated of composition. Rock gets the MVP. He dominated that top lane. And a lot of the macro that came out from MFT was in due part because they didn't have a way to deal with Rock in the early game.
Yeah, trying to shut the Jax down is always going to be a good strategy if you don't want to get rolled over, but they did. And the top laner from J-Team was rock solid this time around. Really, really good playing. I'm loving to see him back, as he had a bit of a lackluster performance in the previous series, and I think that is going to be a cause for concern. If you are MFT going into this game 3, you want to stay alive and keep your chances at a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, for MFT, they've only got one option left if they're going to try and make a run and take this series. They have yet to win a single playoff game.
We'll see if they can do it. Right after this break, we'll be right back with Match Point.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
Promise that you give the most, and it started out like oh so close. Now it's hard to keep you on the phone, on the phone. No matter what I do, you're never satisfied. You don't believe my words, although I never lied. Are you a devil in disguise? I don't get why you're so heavy on my mind. You're so heavy on my mind. Heavy on my mind. You're so heavy, no, I'm not ready for it. Because you're heavy on my mind. You're so heavy on my mind. Heavy on my mind. You're so heavy, no, I'm not ready for it. Because you're heavy on my mind. Promise that you give the most, and it started out like oh so close. Now it's hard to keep you on the phone, on the phone. No matter what I do, you're never satisfied. You don't believe my words, although I never lied. Are you a devil in disguise? I don't get why you're so heavy on my mind. You're so heavy on my mind. Heavy on my mind. You're so heavy, no, I'm not ready for it. Because you're heavy on my mind. You're so heavy on my mind. Heavy on my mind. You're so heavy, no, I'm not ready for it. Because you're heavy on my mind. I got to know, what do I feel inside? I lose control, can't keep you off my mind. I gotta know, what did you do to me? Oh, I think it's time, I need to take a chance to cross the line, so I can understand. I gotta know, what did you do to me? Oh, oh, 'cause you give me something I never knew before, and it feels ecstatic. Give me more, give me more. When you call my name and we're all alone, when you hold me close, it's those silly little moments come and go, and they stay with me. They make me feel like I'm alive. They make me feel like I'm not too late. Did I just wait too long to play this game? Now your love is gone. I gotta know, what did you do to me? Oh, can wait no more. I am on overload. So if you're sure, don't leave me all alone. I gotta know, what did you do to me? Oh, oh, 'cause you give me something I I never knew before, and it feels ecstatic. Give me more, give me more. When you call my name and we're all alone, when you hold me close, it's those silly little moments come and go, and they stay with me and make me feel like I'm alive. And make me feel like I'm alive.
Show me love, show me love. Taking this pure heart of mine high above, high above. We go off in the night. We leave in the red lights. Man, let 'em need you to see right, see right. We go low. Show me love, show me love. Taking this pure heart of mine high above, high above. We go off in the night. We leave in the red lights. No, man, I need you to see right, see right.
就要被离开眼前是完了，
这么低，推到3个，终于推到4个，这边的空就是一个2打3的画面，triple kill。
电子助攻就要被离开眼前是完了，我们的 Rock 看起来被打得好，
但是自己被这边给弹回来，又是 Alex 的一个壁咚，准备要在这一波将电波人全员收掉。
差了一个位置，又是第3个，
两个是拿了一个搭手，还有持续的追击，现在的话瞄准他的 triple，
被波手他换了一个治愈，多进一个治愈之后，这边点输了。
再一个红魔的一个推，拿着不伤敌的效果把小林给推了回去。
And welcome back, everybody, to the PCS Summer Split. 2 games up now for J-Team. A rough start to that first one, but they absolutely stomped in game number 2. We'll see if they can close this out here, or MFT are coming back. Before we do that, though, I do want to talk about our wonderful sponsor, CTBC Bank. They have always been by our side, but they are now joined by China Airlines as a sponsor for the PCS Summer Split playoffs. Now, Mr. Nightstar, we've been hashing out how MFT gets back into this one. Well, one thing that they are changing up coming into this game is they're swapping mid lanes. We've got Wen back in the mid.
Yeah, and while I do think Hong 2 has been the better laner and plays more of the meta picks, such as the Zero Silas, I feel like if Wen was on that Galio, he definitely just waits down into that bot lane for the overcommit coming in from the side of J-Team, and then comes in with the Galio ultimate. So, you know, it might just be Hong 2 not quite as familiar. But with Wen in, we should see more of a focus on that Galio, onto the Talia, and also onto the Vex.
Yeah. So it does change the calculus a little bit in the pick ban. And I think some of the other things we want to see out of MFT in this game, they will be on the red side, their own selection on the red side, is to maybe not ban out Kongye, because he still was fine on a Sejuani. That's 5 bans at the jungle.
And it wasn't like 665 was able to get much done with the Viego denial as well, right? Had some nice early game plays, but Viego, again, I just don't think is that great of a champion when you look at all the other available champs in the jungle pool that can have more impact. And it's not a knock onto Viego necessarily, it's just that his numbers have dropped so considerably, just doesn't do damage. Even when you get the resets, like the resets is the key part, but you can't get to the reset point if you can't get those kills.
Yeah, the Ruined King got ruined. Well, we're going to pick some bans for for the game 3, I should say. Poppy Wukong taken out by J-Team. This time they're the ones who are hitting the jungle pool hard. And MFT back to banning Kalista, as they are on the red side.
And MFT, this organization has not yet pulled a playoff victory. They are so far 0-8. Both of their playoff series last split were 0-3, and right now 0-2. They need to find the magic recipe to put themselves onto the board.
Yeah, that loss in game 1 was a heartbreaker, right? They had a lot going for them, but somehow J-Team woke up, came back into this one. Aphelios is left open. MFT aren't banning it. They do ban the Vi away. I do think that is not a bad ban, but Lil V has been able to rock the Aphelios. However, J-Team are going to potentially opt for something different in their first pick.
Yeah, the Silas pick I think makes a lot of sense, because even if Wen does pick one of those big roaming champions, as I mentioned before, the Silas will also be able to do the same. So I feel like this was a bit of a misread coming in from MFT in their Game 3 bans. I would have much rather have either the Aphelios take off the table to put Lil V on a different sort of champion, or go ahead ban away that Silas pick. Does mean Silas or the Zir still left available, and it makes sense to pair with the Zir with the Aphelios, but again, I like the other options we mentioned before, and yet another Viego pickup coming in for MFT. Again, I don't really like the Viego pick in the current meta. There's just too much durability and not enough ability to reset.
We'll be back on the Pantheon, baby. This is going to be Kongye's second go at it. And if it was the game that he was able to help J-Team win against Megabank Beyond Gaming in the upper bracket, and that's also going to be a lock for rock. The Gwen comes through, so a lot of power, a lot of sticking power on this J-Team side, as MFT will get their final pick of the first rotation.
If they want to go for a counter pick here, I would really love to see the Jax come through for Taco. Just get the reverse matchup. It is a bit of a counter pick against the Gwen, and Gwen actually goes for the Ahri, which I am a little bit surprised about. And perhaps this is just one of those instances where, hey, I don't want to pick a global because Silas is just going to take it away. So I'm going to go ahead, lock myself in this Ahri pick, and try and, out-roam the Silas.
It's a very squishy composition, though. I do still question the Viego pickup, because there were other tank jungles available, and we'll see what MFT have got cooking here. They banned the Lucian away, not going to give Lil V an opportunity to get that Lucian Nami lane going. It would be very aggressive once again. And they also take away the Jinx. But J-Team have banned Jax themselves.
I like the Jinx ban, knowing that, hey, one of the previous handshakes was the Aphelios Jinx.
Yeah,
Switch
but
off,
Zeri's up.
Yeah, in this instance, Zeri still left available for Lil V. Most likely he goes ahead picks that, but if a J-Team, they land on to engage support, when you do play a Zeri without one of those Lulu or Yumi enchanters, it really caps the carry potential of the Zeri.
Yeah, that's something that we haven't really seen a lot of teams do with Zeri in the PCS. It's found success in other regions just because of that, and perhaps that is the change-up for J-Team. We'll have to see if that's the option, if they try for something completely different. Camille gets locked in for Taco.
There we go.
Against the Gwen. And there we go.
Yeah, we finally get the pick power coming in from the top lane. Taco landing himself onto the Camille. For J-Team, it almost certainly has to be the Zeri pick. Unless if they want to go for something like, you know, the Samira. I think Samira would be really fun.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, the 2 games up. Let's go. That's going to be a very confident setup. The kill lane. Samira and Nautilus. J-Team packing some surprises at the final hurdle. How does MFT respond to this?
For MFT, you really have no protection for your affiliates, and I love the answer coming in from J-Team because, hey, if they want to go for a pick comp with Viego, Ari, Camille, and just isolate one target and dive onto our AD carry, make sure Lil V isn't able to participate in the fight, put him on Samira where he's diving in with the rest of us. And now, MFT, I like the choice with the Braum, since they are very low range on the side of J-Team. The ultimate's going to find a lot of value. Perhaps that's enough to keep the affiliates alive, but that's something we'll have to see once we actually get into game. It was either that, maybe they throw in a Tom Kench, or perhaps they throw in the Lulu, and Braum's the pick they ended up with.
I think the Braum makes a lot of sense from a anti-dive perspective. Lulu could have worked out, but you want a little bit of extra stats straight up, a little bit more readily available defense, that unbreakable on a lower cooldown, of course, not being an ultimate. So looking across the board, it does seem like J-Team came in with a good strategy for game number 3, getting very aggressive, getting very in your face. Across the board, I don't think MFT were quite ready for that. We'll have to see if it makes a difference in game.
At the very least, I still like the fact that they eventually pivoted to the Camille. I think they should have gone towards that in the previous game. And for Taco, I feel like he has to eventually win one of these lanes. If they're able to get that, that might make the difference here. But once more, we're going to be having a more pick-centric composition coming in from the side of MFT that they kind of tried to carry over from that previous game. And we'll see if they have a better read on it this time around.
Yeah, MFT, they're going to have to find something deep within themselves to get the win. They have not been able to find a playoff victory, and they have not been able to find a win in the summer split against any of the teams above them in the standings. Could it happen right here, right now? They will need it if they want to keep their hopes alive in the playoffs. It is do or die right now. 2-0 match point for J-Team, looking to move forward in the lower bracket.
J-Team looking to seal things up in game number 3. It was a very powerful statement coming in from them. Game number 2, as they end the game the same amount of time as it took for them to get kills. So
yes,
I would say that helps relieve a lot of the concerns that J-Team fans had.
Yeah, there was a lot to worry about, not just in that game 1, but in the series previous up against Megabank Beyond Gaming, who are admittedly a team that can be very tricksy. They have a lot of comeback mechanics. They have a lot of unexpected things. But speaking of unexpected, I didn't quite think that Lil V was going to go in this direction. However, with the Samira, that is going to be a very fun lane to watch. Let's talk it through. Let's talk that 2v2.
Yeah, definitely a lot of kill threat, especially when you pair it up with the Nautilus. So once the CC lands, you're just able to jump straight on in. And there's a lot of CC in this composition. A lot of point and click. Kongrye, Uniboy, Enzo. They're going to set things up really nicely for Lil V. So it's not like this Samir pick is just out of left field. They had the prep to actually succeed with this. And Taco or Rock, once again, finding a great level 1 trait.
Yeah, Rock has definitely been on point this series. Taco will need to find an answer. Does have a little more sustain, as he does have the Grasp of the Undying to work with for himself, but getting zoned out on farm. And now it's going to get a little worse for him. Level 2 Kongrye gank coming through on this Pantheon.
Point and click.
Doesn't have the flash immediately. The jump. Not much he can do about that. Easy peasy first blood for Kongrye.
Yeah, and Rock sets it up really, really nicely. Taking that aggressive level 1 trade means that Kongrye pretty much can one-shot Taco in that instance. So he comes up at level 2, which is not a traditional gank timer coming in from our junglers. But when you're playing a Pantheon, you've got more than enough damage at level 2 to secure yourself the kill and also have the setup.
It's a nice type of champion for Kongye who wants to get into a carry position. He earns himself that kill. Really nice as he can jump in on the shield vault. As you said, point and click, really not much you can do about it as Taco. He don't even know if he had access to his hook shot just yet.
Nope.
And he certainly isn't packing the flash. So first blood early in this game. We'll see what the answer is going to be from MFT. 665 does get a camp advantage in exchange for it, but I don't know if that's going to matter much.
Will be able to get himself the Scuttle Crab, and this should be them playing around double Scuttle in this instance. But they might want to continue hovering top lane because of the fact that they were also able to get the crash on to that wave top side, and that means Taco, his wave's going to be bouncing away from him. So it's a pretty precarious situation, but MFT, they go ahead, secure themselves the double crab, and also get vision that Kongye is in this bottom half of the map, which means Taco, at the very least, in a comfortable spot to try and crash that wave on his own.
Yep, the info 665 is going to back away. Kongye continues to complete the farm up. We'll check in back down bot. Let's see what's happened. Little V did take a little bit of damage early on, it seemed. Hasn't gone all in on the play just yet. Of course, want to watch for level 6 on Samira, as always.
Yeah, and there's more than enough sustain as well, right? You have 3 pots ticking, so definitely a lot of health potions, even with the nerf onto it. Now they're setting up possible bot.
Get the hook onto Issue.
Viego's coming.
Unbreakable. This is the long play for both teams right now. Straight 3v3. They look for it. Issue forced to flash out. They burn the heal and ignite as well. Enzo's going to live through this. And 665 arrives a little too late to do much, but just send a Blade of the Ruin King that way. Kongye still fishing for a play. 665 finds him on the Spectral Maw, but that will be the end of it for now.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the size of this wave, the side of MFT aren't able to go for more.
Oh, and the bait was real, and that's going to be Whale taken oh so low. Finally falls down as Little V finds the last auto attack, and Issue will go down as well. Excuse me, it's Little V who falls. 665 looking to try and clean things up as he takes over Samira, gets one, but can't get that third. So 665 makes something out of that play, but it is Kongye that stands up at the end.
A huge trade down in that bottom lane. Not quite enough coming in from the MFT jungler to secure all 3. It's a 3-0 Pantheon at 5 minutes into the game. Kongye is setting himself brilliantly to really just own this game.
Now look at this. I think he knew he was on a ward because Kongye immediately turns to the opening. Enzo gets the hook. They unload onto Whale and take him out of this fight. You think it's over here. Lil V does take a tower shot. He does get taken down. 665 then does Viego things and finds a big play, but Kongye will not be denied. So the J-Team jungler makes it out ahead. 3 kills to 0 deaths.
Yesterday or 2 days ago, we talked about this pick being a bit of a feast or famine pick. And right now, 3 kills to his name.
He's feasting.
Yeah, he is definitely feasting. This is a buffet.
He's looking for more right now. Not even level 6 yet. Does not have access to the Grand Starfall, but he will be able to jump on top of Whale should he stray too close. No summoners
coming
on the bot lane. Viego's coming back down for round 2, baby. This is a bloodbath in the making. Kongye starts up. They look for Whale. Viego's too far away. Whale's going down. That's the 4th kill for Kongye this game. Looking for Issue, and they're going to give the kill over to Lil V. Good guy Kongye wants to get his carry fed too.
And it's just J-Team on a better power split. Yes, now 665 is level 6. But Pantheon definitely hard spiking with those extra, with that extra gold and using it well, sending it over into his 80 carry. Now Samira is going to be sitting very comfortable as well. 2 kills to her name, and on the flip side, Whale is down 15 CS. He only has tier 2 boots to his name.
It's not looking good on the bottom side of the map right now for Meta Falcon team. The mid Wen has not really been able to do enough to pressure Uniboy and not keep him down on farm. And Taco hasn't really been able to do much to the Gwen either, and that is trouble. I think it's going to be a rough ride out of this early game. Let's see. We're not done with the aggro down bot just yet. Keep on going with the plays. Kongye now on level 6 with the Grand Starfall should he need it. I think MFT realized that they had to play so safe from here on out.
Yeah, and because of the fact that they haven't been able to establish a lot of jungle pressure, they don't have necessarily the ward coverage to spot out where the Pantheon is if they wanted to. Right now, they do have a good ward onto the blue buff, so they, at the very least, know that, hey, it's going to be hovering around this bottom side, but it also means that they're kind of playing scared at all times towards this bottom half of the map.
They're going to be in for a very rough lane. 8.5 minutes, the gold lead at 2.5k. Rock starts out the solo onto the Herald. The map pressure they have just enables this right now. Kongye will be spotted as he roams up through red buff on that control ward. I don't think he even saw that. Moved a little too fast, keep his eye on the minimap.
Not too worried about that. I think it did get pinged out, so he'll go back and clear it out, but that's after he finishes off this Rift Herald. 200 gold into his pocket.
He's got a 9-minute core drinker. Kongye's fed, man.
He has so much extra gold because there's also that added local gold coming in from Rift Herald. He is just so fat. As now
he wants some more. He wants more. He's going. Okay,
might be a little bit too much extra.
I don't. Yeah, I
teleport coming in.
Okay.
Uniboy's
fine.
here.
He brought friends. Uniboy's here too. 3v3. They got this.
3v3 party. And the issue is they would have loved to try and claim that shutdown onto Kongye. It's just that he has so much damage. Like that early of a core drinker, even though, hey, 665 has the heal reduction coming in from the chain punk, it's not quite the same. And now he also has the ultimate to try and force this dive bot.
Boy, and they can do it. They knew this was pretty safe, and into the Inferno Drinker goes a little V. He might be taking tower shots, but I don't think he's really going to care too much about it if they can still clear things through. And wow, the juggling of the tower aggro is just perfect. And at 10 minutes, they will be able to get the last of the plates, get this tower. They don't lose a man down bottom. And J-Team, where was this squad a few days ago?
Where was this team game 1, Pyra?
Yeah, they were snoozing. The alarm didn't go off, Night Stars. One of those days. But they woke up, finally. And yes, this is against Meta Falcon team. This is against one of the weaker teams in the playoffs. But nonetheless, they are putting on a masterclass here. This was a brilliant dive. Lil V goes in. That Inferno trigger's huge. Kongye then tags his way through. They juggle the aggro just at the right time. Uniboy starts tanking it. That's what I'm talking about. Meta Falcon team, they're going to have to work real hard to get back into this one already at 11 minutes.
503 Pantheon. It is absolutely absurd. In 665, he's been able to accumulate a lot of CS from the jungle position, but it's still the jungle role. It's still a Viego that's been nerfed about 30 million times. So you are still concerned of where the damage is going to come out from. And for MFT, even if you do get ahead with this Camille, with this Ahri pick, your next concern would be, well, what if the Pantheon shows up? Because he can show up at any time. He has a global ultimate. Where's my globe? We have none.
Yeah, that's rough. Rock in the mid lane now. Kongye as well. They're going to keep Wen back. He's just not been able to do much in this lane. This mid lane has actually been quite a quiet affair. As Uniboy is going to be working a lot more with the roams around the map and very active movements by J-Team. They know they have an advantage, and they know that this could be the clean sweep for them. A 3-0 would set them up for a matchup against the loser of CFO and PSG Talon. Not an easy feat, but nonetheless, they're looking on point right now as Issue jumps in, gets caught, burns it to get out. A tower should be falling pretty quickly if the push comes through. Rock feeling himself as he goes forward, and with that mini wave, they're going to chase MFT all the way back to the second one. They're going for the full dive at this point. They don't even care if that's a death rush. It's going to be the death of MFT. 665 goes down. Lil V unloading on him as Rock will take issue out of this one, and the dash into the back. Lil V finally falls on an overstep. Wen looking for a sniff in there, and Kongye goes straight into the back line to cut Wen off. Dodges out on the charm, but Wen is able to pepper him with enough damage to get away, but J-Team make out like bandits.
J-Team, they're just faster on the map because of the fact that they also have just such a strong jungler right now. This Pantheon so fed means that the side of MFT, they can't really cut corners when it comes to rotations, because if they ever face check into a Pantheon, they're just dead. As we get to see the replay of the situation, early flash coming in from 665. I think he could have stood his ground a little bit longer, but chooses to try and save as much HP at the early onset of the fight. And now the hook goes in, and look at this knockup. A 3-man knockup coming in from Enzo from that Nautilus ultimate. Also just buys so much time. That's so much time that MFT aren't doing damage, even though they have the help of Tower. And in the end, Wen will be able to walk out because of the fact he still has a tier 2 tower to his assistance. But this is just 14 minutes into the game, and we already have a 5k gold lead for J-Team. This is the J-Team that we expected against MFT, because again, J-Team, when it comes to playing against lower tier opponents, they curb stomp them like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, and this is looking like a lot more what we expected. Only points I got to deduct from that last fight is Lil V just full sending it a little bit too hard on the Wild Rush. He forgot he wasn't playing Aurelia, that wasn't Blade Surge. But doesn't matter. Still working out well for this team. 5,000 gold lead at 14 minutes. The Dragon, not really making too much of a diff themselves, but they will pick up another one. Or was it just that first cloud, as they kind of left that one sitting for a while? Yeah. It was all this action happening early. It's all been about farming the champions. 11 kills in 14 minutes.
Whew. 11 kills for the
spicy game for J-Team. Yeah, starting to feel a little better. The J-Team fans have to be breathing some sighs of relief right now.
Absolutely. Trying to keep pace with what they had in the previous game, where they had a kill a minute. Of course, it started out a lot slower, and I feel like J-Team are going to finish with a lot more kills than minutes in the game this time around.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction, but I do think it could very well come to pass. Herald going to get started up here by Kongye and Lil V. There's not a whole lot that Meta Falcon team can do. If we are going to put our heads together for this one, Nightstar, how does MFT get back into this game?
Really should have come down to the 2-man game coming in from the solo laners in tandem with this Viego pick. And Taco, he is still going to get strong, right? He will outscale Rock in the 1v1 at the very least. The issue still comes to the fact that, well, they have to deal with Kongria coming in.
All right, Rock getting dove, but it's never just Rock, is it? 665 will be able to take him out, but Kongye is chasing him down, and oh, he heartbreaks himself down. That's going to be the 1-for-1 trade on the dive, and Taco trying to get out of there, but Kongye is not keen to let him go as he's on the chase, on the hunt. The hook shots put him out of range.
Oh, no matter how strong Taco is, even if they try and organize a play down in that bot lane, which is what they should have done, okay, fight in the mid lane.
Right back into it for the 2v2. All the Whale is starting to turn. He does get a stun off onto Lil V. That's a lot of damage being dealt by the Moonlight Vigil. Should be enough to drop him down. Big shutdown gain for the Aphelios. Much needed here. Kongye, though, not keen to let this one go.
This is a big shutdown gold.
Taco on the cutoff. They might be able to find an answer here. He is going to flash away. Taco still following through, and when at his back as well, Uniboy going to be desperately trying to help, but unfortunately, he just feeds himself right in the waiting arms. MFT, they've set themselves up a conga line right now, and Whale does walk face first and Enzo, but there's no follow-up damage. That's going to be the end of that engage, but 2 kills taken by Meta Falcon team, and it couldn't have come at a better time for them.
Whoa, that is massive! Massive gold coming back into their pockets. Being able to get the shutdown onto Kongria, that is such a huge scalp and huge bounty to get off the table here. That the gold is able to bounce back just a little bit. It's still 4k, so it's still a pretty sizable lead, but a mistake coming in. Lil V, he overextends once more. He thinks he's fine, given that he has Enzo right around the corner, and it looked like he was, but then the stun lands, and then Whale, I mean, he's Aphelios, and Samira is much better at the full-on team fights and scrappiness. And then after that, you know, Kongyue out on the side, caught out a little bit out yonder. And Uniboy tries to help him out. Well, he's next one on the docket. And he's forced to flash. Or, yeah, so he won't have that summoner available.
Yeah, that was a pretty big set of events for MFT in their favor. They would have loved to get even more kills off it, but when you're so far behind, getting those two, getting shutdown bounties, that feels so good. And now J-Team, let's see if they second-guess themselves on this one. They were very far ahead, but really overextension, and the killer was Lil V getting just caught on the edge of the Braum ultimate. The Winter's Bite proc starting to kick in. That stun made all the difference.
And for MFT, the big windows they're going to have to try and exploit is when Kongyue does use that Grand Starfall. Afterwards, they're going to have a little under 2 minutes to try and make plays happen. You saw that mid lane play was perfect because of the fact Kongyue couldn't instantly join in the ideal position. Instead, he had to walk his way over, and he puts himself in a suboptimal spot, ends up getting chased out. So,
pick comp online, I suppose.
You know, that's the avenue of attack for MFT. Unfortunately, though, those windows are going to be hard to exploit because of how far J-Team are.
Super narrow, right? Dragon's going to be spawning with all the control they still have on the map. I do think J-Team should be able to pick this up just with one member. Yeah, Kongyue can do it. Uniboy, though, is under fire under tower, but he melts away the minion wave and even steals a Spirit Rush for himself. So not a whole lot of threat there. Lil V, has he been overextended once again? No, this time he's okay.
Pushing up in that bottom lane, getting reinforcements as well. They should be able to take this bot tower.
Hextech Rift this time, too. I don't know if we're going to get to Soul the way this game is going. However, if we do, it's quite exciting, and Hex Gates are always fun to play around. And for a hypermobile team like J-Team, they're going to be feeling pretty good about using those as well to try and get some flank angles. Taco taking a little bit of damage from the snip from the Scissors of Rock, and Mini Wave is cut, so that will be the end of it. Teleport going to get expended by Wen just to get a little faster to the Mini Wave. I think he thought Kongyue was going for a push.
At the very least, Pyra, the scaling is in favor of MFT.
Yeah, they got Nephelios, they got a Camille.
Yeah, hey, can they get to that scaling point is the real question. Because
it's still big goal deficit.
You know, again, you mentioned it, Camille, Aphelios, but also the Braum, right? When you're pretty much 5 melees, Samira is kind of like half a melee, right? It's so hard to navigate around this Braum pick once he throws down, right? Bite, his ultimate, it eats up so much of your space. And then against Taco, you know, he will get to a point where he can just constantly one-shot you, and if you don't have the range to kite him out, he's going to be a big problem to deal with. And then, because of how big Taco is going to get, it makes accessing those resets a lot easier for the Viego pick.
That's true. J-Team, you know, with the dive setup they have to be careful not to bait themselves into a bad situation, give MFT some of that gold back again. They are setting up map control. Baron, of course, will be a big objective to look at. It's a little early to try and go for it, even with the lead they have. Dragon's still 3 minutes away. Rock could be jumped on by 665 and Taco here.
Same play.
Yeah, but look, the rest of the team is coming to the rescue. Who's baiting who?
Yeah, 4 people hovering. It might just get Uniboy if he walks into the bush.
He doesn't know. Oh, he does! Oh. No, he actually thought about this one right now.
Okay, here comes the reinforcements, though.
MFT realize, oh no, we've been had, the bamboozle. Taco getting stunned up.
Doesn't have
Dragon
flash.
Pit, nowhere for him to go, and yeah, he couldn't hookshot his way out to safety. That's a big death timer. And Uniboy steals the Hextech ultimatum to boot.
Yep.
He's looking for 665. He won't find him.
As we said, their timing windows are after the Grand Starfall happens. And unfortunately for them, they can't force out the Starfall unless if they're out of position to begin with.
They're gonna force that fight. There we go. Hextech ultimatum onto Wen, and he's buying a bit of time for himself, and the stasis will be able to flash back to his team. Nonetheless, Not enough tools. They're going to be the
Re-engage.
second wind effort here. Kongay looking for an in, as well as Rock is just tanking all the damage. The teleport comes through as Taco back up off cooldown, but already they've lost Whale and Issue. So what can they do here? Kongay going low, but he's not out of this one just yet. Taco is pretty big in this, but the team is going to be melting through. They chase forward. They find themselves the wipe, and now they're going to push in to end it right here, right now. They've got the damage. Lil V popping off on this Samira, and J-Team fully awakened.
Oh, this could just be it right here. They've got enough minions, but the death timers might not quite be there for them. They're going to go ahead, take the Hex Gates out.
Play it safe. It is low death timers. You don't want to send it right on back.
Yeah. And the other thing is they don't have enough. They don't have more kills than minutes yet. Pyre. So
that's true. Your prediction hasn't come true. They
need two more team fight wipes.
They're playing for your call, Nightstar, and I appreciate it. J-Team trying to do right by us. But let's see how this fight started again. This was a great hook from the Nautilus, and even though there was a good turn in, a stolen Hextech ultimatum means Wen is just neutralized, and not a whole lot they can do here without the Camille until she gets back up and teleports.
Here comes Kogan
with another hook, another brilliant one. Whale and Issue are already gone.
Yeah. Whale once more caught out of position, exploring a little bit too far upwards, knowing that, hey, there's so many low health bars, but he is an 80 carry. He doesn't last long if he gets caught by any sort of CC, and that's exactly what happens. Unfortunately, when Taco, not quite enough to clean up the rest of the fight. You imagine if this was a bit more in an even game, that they're not 10k gold behind, maybe the Camille is that win condition in the team fight to start cleaning up. It's just the wallet differential is just too big. Oh, there goes Kongray. He's gonna go on in. Maybe they've overextended themselves here, as Wen able to get the first kill. That will be a reset. 665 stuck into the back line, and now the Samira goes forward, gets the triple kill, should be the quadra. Uniboy seals the deal, taking the last kill, but that's going to be J-Team getting themselves the clean wipe 4 or 5 for 1 or 4 for 1 here. It's all on to Taco. MFT, they still looking for that first organizational win in the playoffs. We'll have to wait for next year. That's J-Team getting the 3-0 over MFT, and this was the form we expected to see coming into playoffs. Unfortunately, took them a little bit to awaken. But at long last, long have we awaited, J-Team not quite out of championship status. That was definitely not the transition there. So there we go. But yeah, Pyra unfortunately missed the end of the fun. So you're just going to be stuck with me. Regardless, J-Team, this was the bounce back we needed to see. Bot lane still looking a little bit rough, but against this MFT bot lane, I don't think it was ever going to be a long-term issue throughout the series. It was going to take a lot of effort. And MFT, they weren't able to find the solutions to the problem. They tried some pretty bold things, right? Game 1, pretty closely contested. Game 2, they went all in on the jungle bans. And then game 3, they went almost all in on the 80 carry bans. So they banned out a lot of Lil V's champions. They made a go of it. He still found himself with Samira, and they still had a composition where they were able to allow Samira to flourish. So yeah, we get to see Pyra chilling out right next to me, you know, looking pretty fabulous, might I add. Unfortunately, he's having some tech issues, just like we did at the start of the series. Yeah. Hi guys. We get a look at the draft. If this, I think when you bring in Wen, one of the big things is you're looking for a big roaming champion from him, as he's not the strongest laner. He goes ahead, picks up the Ahri pick, and it felt like games 2 and 3 should have been more of a juxtaposition, right? We have Honk 2 play the Ahri, more of a laning champion, and instead we have Wen play the Galio. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way. You can't draft and then pick the players afterwards. But yeah, so I have learned who we are going to interview later on after the post-game breakdown, and it's going to be Enzo, so it should be pretty exciting. And of course, made his transition over to the support role this year, or at least had a full year this time around, and he really grew into the role. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say as we get our post-game stats shortly. This one was really not even close, right? It was J-Team start to finish. For MFT, you know, you tried some things. Again, game number 2, 5-ban jungle. Game number 3, 4-ban bot lane. Nice try. And you gotta respect them for the effort. Still, I think this is a very good learning experience for, remember, this is a collegiate team, very young players, never been to this level of competition, so there's still a lot to take from it, and it's just a matter of, from a program perspective, how can we take those experiences and grow the program? So we get to see replay of some key moments during this game. Kongre was coming out to a very early advantage. Felt like there was no going back after he gets 3 kills into his hands. Side of MFD, they tried, you know, they had a strong top side, tried to turn to play. Unfortunately, this bot half of the map weren't able to hold up their side of the bargain, as here was a play that did go in their favor. Lil V wanders up a little bit too far here, gets 3 stacks from the Braum, and eventually eats that 4th one. And Whale still in Philios, doing a lot of damage, putting out a lot of damage, and secures a kill. I think we might be having Pyra joining back with us soon.
Thank you. Thank you for taking care of that.
A bit of
one.
a robot,
I know.
unfortunately.
Oh man, I'm coming back into this. Give me a.
So we're gonna slowly ease Pyra back into it. But this was one of those plays that did work out, right? Where they were able to punish Konya off of that ult timing, and he has to walk all the way back into the mid lane to join the fight. They get the kill onto Lil V, and then they're able to turn their attention over to Konya. But overall, the punishable windows just weren't there. Hey, there we go.
I'm back.
Pyra's back.
Thank you, Mr. Nightstar, for covering. It was a little bit of a touchy moment, but I know you handled that one. And wow, yeah, we had the end of it. I knew we were going that way, but you know what? I think the internet gods wanted to give you a win moment, Nightstar. So you know what? There we go, and that's how it ended at the end of it all. And big pop off game for J-Team.
Yep. To really cap this series, 25.5-minute game 3. It was a 24-minute game number 2. Again, if this was, you know, regular season J-Team form, this series shouldn't have even gotten to the 28-minute mark, and games 2 and 3 really showcased that. As I don't think it was ever a question, Pyro, right? It was Konya on this Bandcamp pick. He went 3-0-2 in like 2 minutes of the game. Oh, I think we may have lost Pyro once more. But yes, see, guys, Kongre just smacked MFT so hard, even knocked out Pyro's internet. It was just that bonkers. So, hey, we get graphics Pyro once more. But yes, we should be sending it to a break soon. And until then, you get to just deal with me talking about how amazing J Team were in that game number 2 and 3, and that the real test is coming in the next match where they will face the loser of, taking my brain here, CFO PSG, who are definitely not the same level as MFT. So that will be it from us at the desk for now. We're going to send it over the break, but when we come back, it will be Jenny interviewing Enzo from J Team.
I've been waking up feeling like nothing you know. I've been running in a dream, but my legs have nowhere to go. There's a welcome sign on your doorstep, sunny but it's cold inside. I won't melt away, 'cause I noticed all along. There's something I gotta know. Would you walk alone? Would you sell your soul? Would you wake up the voices for someone you love? Would you let it know? Or would you break your fall? I wanna know. We're not like other people. We revel in our pain and soak up the sadness. We're not like other people. We're never gonna change our turn of the darkness. I only go to weddings just to dance on my own. Give me all your small talk, 'cause I just make it up as I go. There's a welcome sign on your doorstep, sunny but it's cold inside. I won't melt away, 'cause I noticed all along. We're not like other people. We revel in our pain and soak up the sadness. We're not like other people. We're never gonna change our turn of the darkness. I turn down the light to feel what it's like to be honest, like the edge of the night. Can you take it? Something I got. We're not like other people. We revel in our pain and soak up the sadness. We're not like other people. We're never gonna change our turn of the darkness. We're not like other people. We revel in our pain and soak up the sadness. We're not like other people. We're never gonna change our turn of the darkness. Got me open. Take my heart as a cert. You can choose my kind of falling. Spell unspoken. Lift me up, bring me down. It's not playing, it's not crawling. 'Cause it's the way you move.
Hello，欢迎来到赛后采访，我是主持人 Liju。首先恭喜台北这一战队顺利的拿下今天本场比赛胜利。Hey guys, I'm Riju and welcome to the post-match winner interview. Today we've got J Team support Enzo. Can you introduce yourself, please? 那今天邀请到辅助位的 Enzo 选手来到采访席，先跟大家打个招呼吧。
Hello， 大家好，我是 J Team 的辅助 Enzo。
So, first, I want to talk about your match the day before versus BYG. What went wrong that series? And did you suspect before that game that you guys might actually lose? 那首先，想跟 Android 选手稍微聊一下关于前天败给 BYG 的那一场比赛，那时候是出了什么问题呢？然后，老实说，那天赛前你们有没有考虑到会败给 BYG 呢？
在对 BYG 前，我们包括教练团所有选手应该都是还蛮有信心会赢下的，只是确实在当天比赛的时候，可能是心态上面跟操作上面都出了很大的问题，就发生了一些我们平常训练赛不会发生的失误，所以才会输给 BYG。
So he said that before the series versus BYG, honestly, actually, the team as well as their coaching staff had a lot of confidence that they would be able to take that series versus BYG. But he thinks that on the day itself, the team made a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes, both in terms of mechanical skill as well as probably in terms of mentality, that usually these mistakes don't happen in scrims, and he thinks that those mistakes were why they dropped that series versus BYG on that day itself. So I want to ask Nix, of course, how did the team then bounce back from that loss, and what sort of adjustments did you guys make in the last 2 days? 那你们在这2天是做了什么样的调整呢？
在这2天做的比较多是心态上面的调整嘛，就在打 BIG 的时候确实有点不太冷静，然后比较多抗激进的操作，所以失误也比较多。那教练团也有跟所有选手做沟通，说接下来比赛就是尽量冷静一点，不要那么急，就慢慢玩的话就能轻松的赢了。对，所以我们这几天做的比较多是心态上面的调整。
So he said that in the last 2 days, what they mostly adjusted was in terms of their thinking and in terms of their mental, because he thinks that when they were playing versus BYG, they were playing a bit too rushed, they were playing a bit too fast, and that actually caused them to make more mistakes in game. So what their coaching staff had told them for the last 2 days was just to focus on playing a stable, calm game, and if they did that, then they wouldn't make those mistakes and they would be able to win their following series easily. So in game number 2 today, Meta Falcon 5 banned out jungle, and then Kungyue had to whip out the Sejuani that he has never played before this season. So I want to ask, is that something that J Team has practiced especially for playoffs, or was that something that you guys just had to get forced to pick today? 然后接下来问题就是关于今天第2局，就是被 MFT 5班打野位的时候，会不会是在你们的战队的预测中吗？然后空月又拿出了这赛季从未玩过的猪女，是不是 JT？是你们是逼不得已才选的吗？还是说你们是为了季后赛而最近有在练的
5边打野这方面有想过啊，因为空月本来就是在我们队里面最强的选手嘛，所以5边打野也是正常的，不变的话对手玩不了。那猪女也是他之前在打比赛也比较常用到的角色，在打去年前年的比赛都有用过嘛，所以其实我们也没有特别准备，就是这是他的拿手脚，我们就当下适合就直接拿出来了。
So he says that personally, he thinks that Kongyue is the best player on J Team. So he thinks that if the opposition teams don't try to 5-ban out Kongyue's jungle, then something has gone wrong. He thinks that it's kind of within the team's expectations that Kongyue will get a lot of jungle bans during the games. He says that even though Kongyue hasn't played Sejuani this summer, it's a champion that he's played quite a fair bit in the past as well, last year as well as the previous year before that. So it's not something that Kongyue doesn't know how to play, but it's also not where J Team has picked something that Kongyue is really good at, but he has had experience playing Sejuani. So next, I want to ask you, because in today's series, you played both tanks as well as squishy supports, and you played both of them pretty well. So is there a type that you prefer, or do you think that you're better at one type of support more? 那接下来想问的就是今天这个系列赛中，你分别拿出了硬辅和软辅，然后2个都使用的相当上手。那恩卓选手个人有偏好的类型吗？
我应该是比较偏向软辅去选的，但还是主要是看教练团决定要硬辅还是软辅做决定。 如果队伍是需要应付的，那我当然就会来应付。对。
So he says that for him personally, he actually prefers to play those squishy ranged supports. But he said, of course, depending on what the team needs and what the coaching staff tell him that he needs to pick, if they tell him that he needs to pick a tank, then of course he's going to make that type of decision for the team. So next, I want to ask, because you got the most number of MVPs on J Team during the entire of the regular summer season, plus there's support MVPs, which we all know are harder to get than any other lane. Also, the analysts and casters have been praising your performance recently, saying that you've improved a lot since spring. So I want to ask if you personally feel that you've gone through that type of metamorphosis to become the player you are now. 然后就在例行赛，台北这一战队中，就是恩硕选手是拿到最多 MVP，而且是偏少见的辅助 MVP。然后今年夏季赛，恩硕选手也表现得相当亮眼。然后最近直播台也有一直在夸，你说你从春季赛到现在，就是真的是进步的非常多。然后你个人有感觉到自己有在蜕变吗？
觉得自己跟春季相较起来是有进步了，但是应该没有到大家说的相当亮眼，就是还有很长一段路要走，也有很多东西要改进的。主要还是因为队友的表现也很好，所以我才有可以拿到 MVP 的机会。对。
好谦虚. So he says that he thinks that he has improved, of course, since the spring split, but he doesn't think that it's to the level where people have been constantly praising him and saying that there's such a huge difference. So he does feel that he has improved. He thinks that there's still a long way for him to go. There are still many things that he can improve on. He thinks that it's also because his teammates, because of his teammates' good performances, that have allowed him to look good and to also bag those support MVPs. So next, I want to ask as well how J Team decides who to field in the top lane, because you've seen the entire split, even in playoffs, that the team has chosen to field Driver as well as Rock. What difference does it make to J Team's play style whether you have either player in the top lane? 那目前队伍先发上阵的名单是如何决定的呢？而且两位选手的上场，你认为在队伍风格上会带来什么样的不同呢？
上阵，我们上路先发上阵的名单，其实就是看空月想要跟谁打的，我们就决定让谁上啊。没有，其实主要还是要看训练赛的表现跟团练的表现嘛。然后两位选手的上路玩的坦克跟斗士其实都差不多嘛，我觉得只是可能有时候在打 BO5这种类型的心态上会受影响的话，会做轮替，对。
So he said that the team decides who to field top based off of who Kungyeon wants to play with that game or that series. And then he said, no, hang on. It's actually more than that. We also take into account recent scrim performance and which whether Rock or Driver has been doing better. He said that also in terms of the longest series, like the best of fives, they also want to take into account like who might have the better type of mentality to play in the longer series. So your next match is going to be an elimination match versus either PSG or CFO, both strong teams. Which team would you rather face? How do you think it will go? 那下一场就是要对上 PSG 或者 CFO， 然后也是个生死局。那恩佐选手个人会比较希望遇到哪支战队呢？觉得会是什么样的对决？
应该会比较想要遇到 PSG 吧，因为相对 CFO， 可能 PSG 上路的角色池也相当受限一点，对，可能火龙的角色池会比较少一点。那当然主要还是我们自己的表现是最重要的啦，就是不管遇到哪一队，只要是正常的，我觉得我们只要是慢慢玩，跟今天的表现差不多，应该都能轻松拿下。
So he said that they would, for him personally, he would rather face off versus PSG because he feels that if you're comparing top laners, he thinks that Hanabi in comparison has a bit of a more shallow champion pool. But he said that, of course, what's more important instead of who they're going to face is how their own team performs. And he says that he thinks that if J Team can perform next week the way that they performed it today, then he thinks that they'll be able to easily take the series next week. lastly, I want to ask, was J Team satisfied with your third place finish during the regular season? What is the goal for summer? 那最后一个问题就是对例行赛获得的第3名满意吗？然后季后赛的目标会是什么？
第3名的成绩相对来讲一定是比较不满意的嘛，所以因为我们一开始也是以前2为目标的，但既然拿到第3名了没关系，所以我们季后赛一定会是以冠军为目标，而且我们一定会拿到冠军的。
好, so he said that, of course, the fact that they ended in third, they weren't too satisfied with that result because, of course, they were aiming to end first or second. He said that the goal for summer is that it's fine that they ended third. He said that the goal for summer playoffs right now is that they want to end first, and he said that they will definitely come in first and be the summer split champions. All right, thank you so much, Enzo, for the interview. Of course, good luck for the rest of playoffs. 好的，那非常感谢Enzo选手接受今天的赛后采访，当然要祝台北这一战队在下周的比赛加油，拜拜。
Thank you very much, Ririchu. And hey, I'm back at the end of it all. Thank you for covering everything, Nightstar. But yeah, really good words from Enzo there. I love a little bit insight into the J-Team mindset, picking things back up, and also the reason why they swap top lane sometimes. It's all about what Kongye wants. It's fair.
Yeah, clearly. It's all about this jungler who, as mentioned by Enzo, is just... If he isn't demanding 5 bans, I don't know what you're doing. I don't think that's actually the answer, guys. But when it comes to Kongye's performance, he finally did step it up. It felt like he was on a bit of a off split, but when it counts, he pops in and really carried these last 2 games.
He popped off for sure. Well, with that, we have our bracket set up a little bit further down the line. J-Team moving forward will face the loser of that big matchup, the rematch of the Summer Split Finals between PSG Talon and CTBC Flying Oyster. We, of course, already knew that Deep Cross Game and Beyond are going to play each other, and the loser will go down to the lower bracket there. But what we still have left on the board, Frank, is Impunity and Frank Esports. That's going to be played out tomorrow, Sunday, August 21st.
Yeah, that's on the docket tomorrow, and hopefully we get to see yet another 3-0. This time, not for the J-Team fans, but for Frank Esports fans, or mainly just me, I suppose.
I think there's definitely quite a few fans, but you are the Frank Esports fan.
Yeah, you know what? Eventually, I'm sure I'm going to get one of those Frank Esports jerseys so I can wear it on broadcast and really just scream the fandom. Maybe if they also have something a little bit more professional, so I can wear it.
Yeah, just like the logo that just can like put on
like a
pin
polo
or something.
Yeah,
ooh, that's cool. I like that.
Or like
merch design.
A giant pin that I can put on my vest. Either of those, great.
Gotta get on it, Frank. Absolutely. Well, that is it for us. It was a fast day. The 3-0 J-Team are absolutely back. Can't wait to see how well they do. But don't forget to join us tomorrow for Frank Esports and Impunity. For now, that is going to be us signing off on behalf of the whole broadcast team and everybody behind the scenes. Thank you so much for watching. Be good to each other, and we will see you tomorrow.